I personally think that somebody who's taking steroids has the same risk factors as somebody who's morbidly obese.
My next guest has called out and has beef with just about everybody in the fitness space. He was the biggest fitness influencer in the world for a whole year and got cancelled.
I had 58,000, not views, not likes, negative comments. They just basically spammed TikTok and canceled me.
We have a heated debate about whether people like The Rock and Sam Sulek are a good influence on young men.
Just because he's famous doesn't mean he has to do these things. But just like The Rock, it might be indirect, but he is negatively influencing young men to want to have to look like that.
Let's get into this.
Greg, what's the biggest scam in the fitness industry?
I would say being natural or not natural, the most amount of people lying about what they've used to get their bodies. I think that by a long shot, that's the biggest scam. For example, the Liver King saying he's all natural and that he's just getting his muscles from eating liver. It's gotta be that.
Why do you think people do that then?
Well, because people want to have success, and as soon as you hear that you've done it by using performance-enhancing drugs, they take that away from you. So it's so hard for people to admit that, because as soon as you admit you're on PEDs, people say, oh, the only reason you look like that is because you use that and not because of the hard work, when in fact it is a combination of both.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about Liver King actually, because I'm sort of on the fence about how I feel, because I mean, if you look at him, surely isn't it obvious?
You would think, but I mean, when you actually
you couldn't
people,
chisel out of stone a better looking physique, could
it's
you?
absolutely unbelievable. But like based on the statistics, it's about 95% of people realize that it's not possible. But I think that because we're in the fitness space and because we're knowledgeable in what bodies you can achieve with natural training and whatnot, I think that we overestimate how good people are at deciding what a body can be achieved natural. So for example, I'm very educated on fitness, so I know this. So I think everybody else knows what I know, but in fact they don't. So the average person that knows nothing, that doesn't go to the gym, that doesn't work out, they have no clue what a natural body could look like. Most people probably think that Arnold Schwarzenegger was natural.
Wow.
I don't think they realize that. When I was a kid, I thought he was natural. I thought Hulk Hogan was natural, the Ultimate Warrior. I thought all my heroes were natural. I had no clue.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You must be in your 40s then.
48.
Yeah, I'm 45, and Hulk Hogan, yeah, he was the guy.
Your vitamins, your prayers, that's it.
Yeah.
You worked hard.
Vitamins and prayers, yeah.
Not testosterone and tren, you know what I mean? That's it.
So basically someone like, let's say, Liver King, is it impossible to look like him without steroids?
I would say absolutely impossible. You could have that much muscle, but not have that much muscle and be that lean and grainy and hard with kind of a low level of water retention. It's the hardness of the muscle, the way it actually looks, that makes it impossible. Because some people with really good genetics can have that much muscle, be that strong, natural, but not be that grainy, hard, the look to the muscle.
Right. Did I see you calling out The Rock, the fact that you think he's on steroids?
I would be 1,000 to 1 odds that he's on performance-enhancing drugs, and I don't even think small amounts. I think a lot.
Like
That's my
Tren,
opinion.
like Tren or
I would
something.
say he's on everything. I would say at one point, yeah, you could argue maybe just HRT, but I would say to get your best physique in your 50s, it's hard enough in your 40s, 30s, but in your 50s, it's just too suspect.
Yeah. And do you think he's being dishonest by not being open about that?
My personal opinion is that he's doing it because he's convinced himself that it's the right thing to do, because he might
As in take steroids or not be open that he is?
Like if he were to open up and say, I take testosterone, I take tren. Let's say he said that. He might think that the millions of fans that are following him would then do the same thing, versus him saying, I'm not going to talk about it. Let's just not say this. He thinks that that's doing society a favor, when in fact, I think with knowledge comes power. I think if he tells people, look, I look amazing, but I use these things to get this body, and I don't think you should copy me. Or perhaps say, I have body dysmorphia. People want me to look this way. And there's a lot of pressure on me to look this way, but I don't want you to go down the same route as me, because what if I die in 10 years from a heart attack? I think that would make a bigger difference than him just keeping things silent.
Do you think there's an element of commerciality whereby he might lose a load of massive sponsors if he comes out?
I think without question, he would lose sponsorships. He would lose perhaps movie roles in Hollywood. I don't think it's okay per se to say what you're taking. Most Hollywood stars, they have the chicken, broccoli, and rice diet, and they train 4 times a day. That's what they do, and they all look like superheroes.
Yeah, wow. Is there another argument to this though? Because I sometimes think his body, his business. It's not illegal. to not tell everyone what you're doing behind closed doors. We've probably got secrets, and sometimes I think, because Joe Rogan's at him, isn't he, to out him for taking steroids. Shouldn't we just leave him alone?
That's a great point, and I actually agree with you. Why are we going to say, you have to tell us this? Did he say, I am your role model? He didn't say, I am going to be your role model. We've decided we put that on him because of his celebrity status. But he does, in fact, have the right not to say it. But I have the right to call him out for doing that.
Yeah, and I suppose if everyone's thinking it's obvious he is, and it becomes the bigger elephant in the room, and he influences millions of people and they all want to look like him, then there's maybe some moral responsibility, even if he's got his own private life.
It's a very good argument. What's crazy is one of my first viral videos going back 4 or 5 years ago was a natty or not on The Rock, where I said, there's no way I believe that this guy is natural. And most people think The Rock is natural. If you ask the average person...
How can they think that?
They're not educated on the sport like me.
Nor am I.
Like when I ask my mom and dad, they don't think The Rock is on steroids. They would never guess that.
They just think he trains hard.
Exactly.
And prays.
Yeah, they have no idea. Hulk Hogan, it goes back in the old days. People don't know. They didn't think their favorite baseball stars were taking anything. People just think most people are natural, unless you look like a Mr. Olympia champion. As soon as you see that level of muscularity, like 300 pounds, they think, yeah, steroids. And what most people don't understand is, even with steroids, unless you have amazing genetics, you're not going to get a physique even close to that. So the average person thinks, perhaps they have your build, they think if you take steroids, you could look like The Rock. But the truth is, even with 10 years of hard work, the best training, the best diet, it's 99% of the people not even going to look half as good as The Rock, no matter what they take.
Wow. So is there an element of, because I know you love to call all this out, we'll come to a few people who you've called out in a moment. Is there an element of, there's a responsibility, because people frickin' die taking steroids. There are a lot of bodybuilders who have died, aren't they? Taking strong performance-enhancing drugs.
Absolutely. There's certainly a risk level to taking steroids. To me, I personally think that somebody who's taking steroids has the same risk factors as somebody who's morbidly obese. I compare the professional bodybuilding champion who looks the fittest with the best abs, the best muscles, and the dream physique. To me, that person's just as unhealthy as the person who's morbidly obese. And remember, I am a bodybuilder and I did abuse steroids, so I realized this. But I've changed. I'm not doing it anymore. And I realized how unhealthy it was. Now, I really emphasize cardio. I emphasize having a healthy diet. I'm trying to undo the damage that I did in my younger years.
Right. So do you then add that to the mix? Think these people who everyone thinks is on steroids has a moral obligation to be open about it?
I think it would be great if they did, but I don't think they have to do that. I don't think anybody is going to say what they're doing in their own private life. There's so many things that people do, but imagine if everyone knew our deepest, darkest secrets. Most people know mine because I'm a public figure. They know what I've done in my past, the negative things. But the average person, to have to say and admit everything they've done, imagine if every married couple had to admit if they cheated on their partner. Imagine how many relationships would fail. And so imagine that in bodybuilding, having to admit what steroids you've taken or not, and considering they're illegal in some countries, it's a lot to ask.
I hear you, and obviously I raised that initially, but I imagine having an affair isn't a major health risk unless your partner's,
True.
Whereas a lot of people, I might be wrong about this, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't a lot of people die abusing steroids?
Absolutely, but it's not in the short term. It's such a long-term problem. So the people that are taking steroids in that 18, 19, 20, 22, they don't think about that. They're young, dumb, they don't realize what they're doing. It's 20 years later that they start realizing, wait a minute, I shouldn't have done those things. And you mentioned about it's not a health risk to cheat on your partner. I would argue that it is because of the mental health. If you're cheating on your partner and it's breaking up the relationship, you get depressed.
Yeah, but we're obviously talking physical health.
I think that emotional, mental health is almost as important, if not more important, than the physical. The physical and mental go hand in hand. Somebody who's not mentally well is not physically well as anyone who's not mentally well is not physically well either. It all goes together.
Yeah. Is there a certain amount of hypocrisy here? You abused steroids and, now you're over it and now you're a fountain of wisdom and knowledge, but you did it.
That's a great question, and I'm glad you brought it up, because my answer to that is it takes one to know one. If I abuse, let's say, narcotics, any drug, recreational drugs, and it ruined my life, and then I stop that and I say, hey, I went down that road, it was a bad decision, look what it did to me. I think that would help people. And people are going to more likely listen to me, somebody who's used steroids in the past, and say, he's saying he used them and he's saying it's bad and saying it's bad for my health. I think they're going to listen more to me than some guy who's been natural their whole life and says, don't do it. They don't know what it's like on both ends. I know what it's like to stop taking steroids. I know what it's like to be on them. And I can tell them what it does for you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything.
So I want to come back to that because I think that's a great discussion to have. But something that's popped into my head is, do you know the Wolf of Wall Street or know who he is? Jordan
Absolutely.
Belfort. So there's something that pisses me off about this. And I said it to his face, well, on Zoom. So yeah, I'm all for people having a second chance. I really am. I'm all up for people being able to start again as an entrepreneur. We have to fail sometimes. But he ultimately stole a load of money off people and never had to pay it back. And, you know, all right, did his time and all that a bit, but, you know, leveraged the limited company law. And now he's like preaching like he's the best salesman ever. What about the millions that were lost to all the people? That just doesn't feel right for me. And it feels similar in the steroid world. You know, hey, I'm not taking them anymore, so, you know, I'm a guru now. Can you see what I'm saying?
Kinda. I mean, I am an expert on steroids because of what I've done. So if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be able to speak to it the way I know right now. Like, had I not been using them, how would I know what it's like to take them? I think that had I never used them at all and said, don't take them, I don't think I would have had the same popularity. So I can understand that point of view. You got famous partially because of the steroids that you were taking. And so many people might say, well, you took steroids and now look at you're a famous person on YouTube, and had it been for the steroids, maybe you wouldn't have had that fame. And that's a great point.
Yeah, there's these recent, quite a few people like exiting the industry and like trying to save everyone from it. And it was awful. And, you know, they probably made tens of millions out of it. And I think Mia Khalifa's doing that at the moment. It just feels there's maybe a little bit of hypocrisy there.
I think that people are overemphasizing how important money is. Like, having been somebody with no money and now having a lot of money, money is not as important as people think. And so just because you've made millions of dollars, people are thinking, yeah, that's what I want. But money doesn't necessarily bring happiness. Having a lot of friends in the YouTube world with millions of followers and millions of dollars, a lot of these guys are miserable. They hate their bodies. They have body dysmorphia. They feel so much pressure to keep using steroids. And if they stop them, they'll lose their physique, they'll lose their followers, and they're generally not happy.
Right, yeah, wow. Yeah, I want to talk about the money bit because I've got a different opinion.
Sure.
So are we okay to talk about your steroid use and history and all that? Yeah,
absolutely.
So when was the last time you took any?
For my last bodybuilding contest in Niagara Pro, I got 4th place. I was on a steroid cycle back then. And
And when was that?
It was 4.5 years ago now, I believe. And since that time, I stopped taking steroids. I went 6 months without using them whatsoever, had absolutely no sex drive, no energy, couldn't sleep proper, erectile dysfunction, and I had to go to a doctor and an endocrinologist to prescribe me HRT, which is testosterone, so that's technically still a steroid, in low doses so that I could be normal again. So just having done that, it screws up your head. Like, it's very difficult. And I lost probably 25 pounds of muscle since then. So when you see your body like larger than life and compliments from it's not really girls, it's really just guys. guys trying to get all this muscle to get girls.
That's why
you're
I'm
getting
skinny.
guys. Yeah, there you go. And regardless of that, it's height that matters more than muscle anyway.
Right.
But having that body and having to lose all that muscle, not everyone can deal with that. You develop body dysmorphia, you don't like the way you look, you can get depressed.
Did you go through all that?
I was able to go from being, getting my, I'll call it dopamine or validation from bodybuilding. I switched it over to a different sport, cycling. So I did a lot of bike riding. So now, rather than seeing my body as being small, I consider myself a jacked cyclist. Because for a bike rider, I got a ton of muscle.
Yeah.
For a bodybuilder, and being at an event like this and seeing all the famous celebrities and watching the bodybuilding contest last night, I'm like, wow, I used to look kind of like these guys. Now I'm nothing like that. It's hard on your head, but I don't see that. I see myself as a cyclist that lifts weights, and I emphasize my cardio. So rather than being like, I need that muscle, I think, wow, but I have good cardio and I still have a lot of muscle. So I've completely changed that around. But I think 99% of people, they can't do that, or they at least won't do that.
Right, so you reinvented how you saw your body.
Absolutely.
And put it in a different context. Because, you know, to me, you look bloody muscly and I wouldn't mind those biceps. To the bodybuilding world champions, you're thinking they look muscly, I wouldn't mind those biceps. And that comparison can be a curse.
Absolutely. No matter how much muscle you get, like if you got to my size, you'd be like, wow, I'm jacked. But then if you were a competitor and you got 4th place you'd be like, well, compared to the winner, I don't look so good. And every level you go up, you compare yourself to the people at that level. It's your new baseline. And so as I moved up the ranks from being an amateur to a pro to trying to make the Mr. Olympia, every notch was that much harder. And you start comparing yourself to people at your level, and there's always someone better. And even if you're the best in the world, like say you're Chris Bumstead winning the championship 5 years in a row, you're still not good enough, because at this point you're like, well, I won, but by not enough. I need to keep winning to get that dopamine. Eventually, Chris has to retire. I think he might do one more show and retire, or might retire before. He's eventually going to lose some of that muscle, because we know he isn't natural. He's admittedly not natural. And so what is that going to do to his head when he loses 20, 30, 40 pounds of muscle? Will he have another sport to change back to? Maybe he'll be a cyclist like me. Maybe he'll do the exact same thing. Maybe he'll focus on being a dad. But if he doesn't, it can be very hard on your head.
So if you could go back, just at that time when you first took your first steroid, would you change that?
Absolutely. If I reflect back now, and I would never have done it. The only reason I did it because I wanted to keep getting better, and I wanted an IFBB pro card. There were no natural contests at the time. You couldn't get a pro card at the time just being natural. Now you can. And so looking back, it's like I only did it chasing the dopamine. I always wanted to get better. And eventually, no matter how good you get, you're not going to keep being happy with what you're doing. You're just comparing yourself to people that much bigger. And so my last competition, I went from doing bodybuilding to classic physique. So the weight class was down about 10 pounds. So I didn't have to abuse steroids to nearly the extent I did. But looking back, it's like, it's foolish. I'm changing a goal that I can never get. I'd never get the body that I want. I wanted to keep getting better, but no matter how good I got, I'm never going to be good enough.
And when you say abused steroids, like how much were you taking and what was it doing to your body?
Like my biggest steroid cycle ever would probably be like 700 milligrams of test, 700 EQ, 700 Masteron. I've tried 700 Tren and I couldn't even handle it. I had to lower it to 500. So I'm talking about, I took the most amount of steroids I could take and handle it. When you take too much, it makes you feel sick. You can't sleep, you have anxiety, you feel bad. So you're on so much steroids that you actually can't wait to get off of them. That's the amount I was on. So absolutely very abusive. And my definition of abusive is anything beyond the prescription that your doctor tells you to do. So if your doctor says you need this and you follow that prescription, to me that's not abuse, that's therapeutic, it's medication. But if you were to just say, I'm gonna just double that, it's, even though it might seem low to most people, it's way too much.
Did it ruin any of your relationships?
For me personally, no, but I was hyper aware of my situation. I knew that if I was feeling upset or irritable or angry, that I knew that it was like, it's in me to calm that down. When you're a bodybuilder, a lot of people blame it on the testosterone or the drugs that you're taking. Oftentimes it's the diet. You've heard of being hangry.
That's a real thing, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. If you are, when you're a bodybuilder, you're literally, it's an eating disorder that's glorified. When you're competing, and I'm at 4% body fat, I'm near death. I had a hard time getting up out of the bathroom. I'm having a hard time driving my car. I was getting people to drive me to the gym to go work out because I didn't trust my ability to drive and focus. You have no carbs in your brain. You're just completely on empty. And it's miserable. And so when I make videos talking to people about don't try to get single digit body fat, don't struggle to maintain that super lean physique, it's because I experienced it for years. The struggles, the mental struggles, the physical battles to maintain that kind of physique, it is so hard. I'm telling people it's not worth it. They think that once they get that dream physique, they're gonna be happy. They're gonna be miserable because of the way you have to feel inside. No energy, lethargic, and just miserable. You feel like garbage the entire time. You look like the epitome of health, but you feel horrible on the inside.
Have you done any research on actually what percentage of the population think having a bodybuilder physique actually looks good? That would fascinate me.
I have done videos on what percent body fat people prefer, and for the most part, women would prefer somewhere in that 10 to 15% body fat range. 15% body fat is what I consider a healthy body fat for most men. 10 to 12, you're talking about very athletic, and then sub 10, the six pack, the whole thing. Most women, it's 10 to 15%. And so men think they need to get leaner, but they don't. And in general, women just want men who look healthy.
Wow. So I would have thought, being a man, a straight man, that most men are doing this because they want to look good for women. I would have thought. You've sort of admitted that actually it's to look good for other guys.
Well, I should interrupt. They think they're looking good for the women, but what in reality is the men are appreciating the women, they don't care.
Huge news, years in the making. My brand new book that my publishers refuse to publish, Money Matrix. Beat the money system and build generational wealth. Understand the 3 main ways that the banks productize you and make money from you. You'll be able to turn that system against itself, build generational wealth and multiple streams of recurring income. It's all at moneymatrix.cash. And if you're quick, the first few hundred registrants and buyers will receive many special bonuses from me. The brand new Moneymaker Summit 3-day special event. Meet me at a champagne reception. Meet me at a multi-millionaire networking dinner. Go now, moneymatrix.cash. This is huge.
Women do not care about having all that much muscle. I could lose 20 pounds of muscle from now, and I've already lost 25, and it would still have more than enough muscle for 99% of women. But the men, if I put on 25 pounds of muscle and I walk around now, gonna go to the bar, wow, look at your biceps, look at your, I wish I looked like that. But the girls don't care. In fact, I would argue that they would see that as a bad thing or a negative. It's too much. It's too much muscle. I don't want that on a man.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would have thought. Yeah, clearly these fitness influencers are really influencing, especially young boys transitioning into men in that that's the way you need to look. There's that guy, is it Sam Sulek?
Sam Sulek.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's wildly polarizing, and some people are like, get off his back, he's living his life.
Yeah.
He's just sharing his life. He's obviously got super famous and loads of followers. But a lot of people think he's a walking death about to happen, and he's obviously influencing millions of young boys who clearly want to look like that, with spots all the fuck over him and everything else. Like, there's a lot of responsibility on that guy, and what do you think?
Well, that's a great question. I've met him, I've talked to him a number of times, and he's a really nice guy, and he doesn't openly discuss what he's taking. I don't think he wants to influence anyone to do these negative things.
But
however,
look at him.
He absolutely is.
Yeah.
There's no question that he is. He's 6 feet tall, 235 pounds, very lean, and he can get by on drinking chocolate milk and eating pizza and having burgers and fries, and he just has amazing genetics. But he's a super nice guy. And so does he have a responsibility for anyone? I don't think he does technically, because he should have the right to live his life the way he does, the way any of us does. Just because he's famous doesn't mean he has to do these things. But just like The Rock, it's the same thing. He's doing the same thing. It might be indirect, but he is negatively influencing young men to want to have to look like that. Now, it's not for women. His videos are very clear. Just go to the gym for you. And I think it was on the stage, he said his main goal is get big. That's his main message, was to get big. And it's doing it for himself, not for women. So it's not for women, it's for himself, but at the same time, just having that body is influencing people, but isn't everyone? How is it different for Chris Bumstead? He's the Mr. Olympia champion. He's 6'1" and 240 pounds of pure muscle. It's all the same.
Yeah. I really want to sit in on this, because I actually can physically feel in my body the moral quandary of live your life, do what you want. Is he giving a big enough disclaimer? This is me and this is who I am. Don't copy me. I'm just doing... Or because I guess he's making millions out of his YouTube channel.
He would absolutely be making millions of dollars without question. He's the most popular fitness influencer in the world right now, easily. The most popular, number one.
Yeah. And by the way, I love capitalism. I believe everyone can be entrepreneurial. Everyone should make money out of something that's valuable and useful.
Well, here's the problem. He's so famous and he's doing these things, but if we picked on him and says we can't cancel him. He has the right.
I don't know. Absolutely should. I would never cancel anyone.
Yeah, he has the freedom to do all these things. And if we were to pick on him, then do we pick on every single guy who's doing the same? Absolutely. I have the right to criticize him. People hate it when I do. When I talk about him drinking chocolate milk, they get mad. Now, I'm just saying, I'm trying to give the message that you shouldn't copy this guy. He can do what he wants for him. It's working for him. But is it going to be dangerous from long term? Probably. You shouldn't do that. If they want to listen to me, that's great. If they want to listen to him, also great. It's like with knowledge comes power. I'm saying what Sam Sulek's doing is not healthy. If you want to copy that, that's on you. If you're an adult, I mean, what can we do other than educate?
Well, I mean, what we can do is we can have our governments observe this closely and just tweak and adjust the rules and guidelines of law. It's what they're supposed to do. Are they intervening enough with steroid use? Because I think governments, when it comes to money and tax and media, I think they over-intervene. I think they should back off and just let us compete. But if a lot of people are dying, should they intervene a bit more?
That's a great question. Should we legalize marijuana? Should we legalize recreational drugs? What ones are legal or not? In Canada, my country, steroids are legal to use.
Illegal.
Legal,
yeah.
as in I can buy 50
Yeah.
bottles of testosterone, have it in my house. Police officers can use it. It's 100% legal. Should it be? That's debatable. We have legalized marijuana. You can buy alcohol, marijuana, 100% legal in the United States. Not so legal. Testosterone is illegal. You need a prescription in the United States to get it. In Canada, you can. Some different countries, like Mexico, you can walk right in and buy it. Which countries are using it more, which are using it less, I'm not sure. But if we don't even talk about steroids themselves, there are other drugs, SARMs, for example, selective androgen receptor modulators. They basically do the same thing as testosterone. Oftentimes they're oral, and they're legal. It's a legal loophole. So you can go on the internet, type this right now, and you can be 17 years of age, and they're going to send it to your house. It's not for human consumption, though, but we all know what they're doing with it. And it builds muscle.
Should that be legal?
I don't think so.
No. So
I mean,
we are
it's the same
discussing
thing as testosterone.
So basically, you are kind of saying that there should be some intervention there.
Well, in the United States, it's legal. I think you should at least have to be a certain age to use them. I have no idea what they could do. I don't know if it would encourage their use or make it worse, because when it's legal, people can go to the pharmacy and get it. If it's illegal, people are going to go and get it, but they're going to go and get it in a different method, illegally. And so is that more dangerous or safer?
Well, that's a good argument, because sometimes when you make things illegal, it just makes people want it even more, doesn't it?
Exactly.
And does it stop it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how are you finding it in Canada then? Because this is interesting. Is it working in Canada for many of these things to be legalized?
The strangest thing in Canada is that to get testosterone from a doctor, prescribed and be monitored, like in a healthy way, like me, it takes so long. It took me 6 months. You have to get your own doctor, sometimes an endocrinologist, a lot of work. In the United States, you call up any anti-aging clinic, HRT clinic, and you can get it like that, even if you don't need it. Anybody can make it, and it's a legal way to make money for these HRT clinics. They're making millions of dollars on perhaps young men. They're 20, they don't need testosterone, but they go in this clinic and they prescribe it and they charge a heck of a lot of money. So it's almost like legal drug dealing, if you want to look at it that way. Yet it's illegal.
Yeah.
So it's illegal, but you can go and get it legally if you just show up and say, I want some. It's that easy. But in Canada, extremely difficult to get.
But it's legal.
But it's legal. And so what are people doing in Canada? They're all buying it from the guys at the gym that look like me or bigger. That's how they're getting it. 95% of men using testosterone are buying it illegally in Canada. So my testosterone is prescribed by my doctor, 100% legal. 95% of people not doing it my way. Would they want to? Absolutely. In the United States, these people are getting it legally, but yet it's illegal. So I'm not sure which way is better. I would say a combination of the two.
Let's pick up back on that, because I've been doing some research.
Sure.
Which is partly my job.
Yeah.
So there's a few people you've called out here. And let me know if I'm wrong or there's more. Because I never fully believe everything I read on the internet. So I think you've got some beef with John Bravo. I think there's some beef with the Trend Twins, Jeff Cavalier. I think you've even called out bimbos.
Bimbos?
Yeah.
Like girls?
Bimbos.
Like bimbos? Like women who aren't intelligent? Is we call them a bimbo? Okay.
Yeah. Does calling people out make you rich?
I would say absolutely calling people out is one of the bread and butters part of my channel. I think I've called out, when I started my channel, it was all about calling out the BS in the fitness industry. And so if somebody says, this does this or this does that, I would call them out and I speak about it. Now, behind the scenes, do I really hate them that much? No. I just am talking about these concepts, but people like it more if I really overemphasize what's going on. So when I meet up with these people that we have beef with, oftentimes we'll have a shankcake and talk, and we're not mad in real life.
And how do you feel good about that? Because what it sounds like is you're calling out BS in the fitness industry because it helps grow your channel. But actually you don't really have beef with them because you're kind of mates in the background. Yeah. How do you feel about that?
So a great example would be Sam Sulek. So I call him out. I say, hey, you're talking about chocolate milk and eating junk food and bulking up on all these calories and you're crash dieting. And then we'll put a clickbaity title that it's going to be a lot of drama. But do I like the guy or dislike the guy? I like the guy and I watch a lot of his videos. And when I meet him, it's very friendly and conversational. And a lot of people will say, why do you have such beef with Sam Sulek? And I'm thinking, well, I don't really. But the titles are put in such a way to make it look like I have more beef than I actually do.
And I want to give some context here, because I think this is a really important discussion to have personally. So I used to be an artist, and I have this commercial, creative tension always in my life, where it's like, I want to create the art I want to create. F*** everyone, I'm an artist. I'm not going to try and get clicks or followers or people buy my art, because that's not what art's about. Art is about art.
Sure.
Art should be about your expression. And then I go, well, all right, let's say my art is writing loads of books like I have, and teaching the world to be better with money like it is. If I go onto social media to create this art in my way, I get no views, because the social media algorithms want me to call you out and create controversy and have clickbait headlines. So I can either be this is me, this is who I am, this is the integrity of me as an artist, and no one see my work, or I can be a bit of a cliche, sellout, clickbaity guy and have millions of followers. And in a way, I'm sensing that a bit with you. You don't sound like you're a beef guy. You sound like you're a friendly guy, yet you're creating headlines to intentionally make it look like beef.
Yes.
But you're clearly not that guy. You know, I've just met you. You're not that. Does that not create tension in you? Wouldn't you rather just be nice?
Honestly, I like both, and I think it's okay to have a combination of both. I have about 3,300 videos in total, and everyone knows me as the natty or not guy and the drama guy, and I'm like, I counted my natty or nots, there's about 100. So maybe 3% of my channel is what you think it is, and they hear the screaming voice that I have when I do my videos, and then they meet me and they're like, why are you so calm? Why are you so chill? I kind of like you here.
Does that not have a lack of integrity, though?
I don't think it's serious, because it's kind of like, okay, the YouTube world, I see it as like WWE. Sometimes I'm the bad guy and sometimes I'm the good guy, but having that mix of both, it creates more interest. I like to be myself, and I have a variety of videos. I'm not gonna just only do natty or nots and only do drama. I like talking about everything. Right now, I'm really into the manosphere. I'm talking about, I had a breakup from 10 years, and I've read a lot of books about relationships and how to be a better person. So I'm really into that, giving advice to young guys, like, how do you talk to girls, what's not, like all these different concepts. And I post stuff about that, and they get really mad. Why aren't you doing more natty or nots? I'm like, because this is me. I'm not just a fitness person. I'm a bit of everything. And so I post what I want, and sometimes I want to call out that guy, like Eddie Abu, for example. Eddie Abu, are you aware of this guy?
No, please, yeah.
Oh, Eddie Abu has 3 million followers, and he says, this is shit, and wake the fuck up. This is Eddie Abu's channel. This is his entirety of his channel. He says, you shouldn't eat junk food, which I think everyone in the world knows junk food is not healthy. Like, he says, don't eat junk food. Then he says you should eat eggs, and you should eat maybe vegetables, and no fruit with sugar. And so he's extremely popular right now, and I've done a number of videos on him, and he's well loved because he's got that wake the fuck up, and this is shit. He's got that attitude. He's 6-year-old. He used to be a professional bodybuilder on steroids, the whole thing. Very similar to me, but let's say 10 years older. We have a major beef, but I don't hate him. He has a great message. Don't eat junk food. But the problem is the rest of what he says, he doesn't know enough of the answers. So Eddie doesn't have a nutrition degree, he hasn't done enough research, and so he says a lot of things that are incorrect. I call out the incorrect things that he says in videos. I have fun with that. One video I made on him, he responded back with making fun of me the whole time, making fun of my name, making fun of my accent, making fun of everything. I'm like, hey, you can make fun of me, but what about the information? But he would never debate me because he doesn't know enough to have a debate. So he can say, wake the fuck up, and this is shit 1,000 times, and I can say, Eddie, when you drink skim milk, they're not taking out the fat and putting in sugar. That's what he thinks. That's what he said in videos. He said, if you eat healthy, it cures all mental health issues. He's saying, if you're depressed and suicidal, it's because of what you're eating. No, Eddie, it's actually chemical things in the brain and medication, and that is not good to say, wake the fuck up when somebody has a mental illness and they're saying they're perhaps suicidal.
Up. Yeah, that's
not the answer. All
yeah.
you have to do is change your diet.
No.
Eddie. And so I can sense the passion, like I want to just yell out and say, no, Eddie, and I do videos like that. And so when it's a very heated topic for me, I get so into it and it comes out in my videos. Sometimes if I'm just talking about it, I'm relaxed. But as soon as I hear Eddie and he says something, I'm like, I have to call you out. And so if somebody does something, whether it's the Trend Twins or somebody else, and I'm like, just no, I love making those videos because I love correcting the information and speaking facts. This is what I have so much passion for.
Do you think there's an element that we're in this world of polarization, and we'll call it clickbait, because of the how the algorithms are controlling us. I'll give you an example. For probably a decade, I did how-to videos. How to get out of debt, how to make money, how to become a millionaire, how to. Very practical and tactical, instructional, and they worked. And they built my career. They don't work anymore.
No.
If I put a how-to video out, no one watches it. And it pisses me off. Mm-hmm. And every now and again, I'm like, I don't really want to do all this clickbaity stuff, even though I know, for me, if there's clickbait, but the art behind it is true to me, I can live with that. But I'd actually rather just say, how to, And every now and again, I test a how-to video, and it always bums. I can have videos with 10 million views, and my how-to will get 3,000 views. Does that not suck? And is that not what the social media algorithms are doing to us?
It's such a piss off. I've discussed this even just earlier today. I have two different topics. I can say, this man just won the contest. It gets no views. This man lost the contest, will get 10 times more views. It's better to get 1 million views than 100,000, even though I have to be negative in the title or the thumbnail to get people to click. But once you click on that video and you watch it, you will then understand the video. So anyone who sees the titles and thumbnails of my videos and don't watch it will have a certain impression of me. Anyone who's watched my videos will have a completely different impression. So all the haters that I get, they're from 1% of the population who are not watching my videos and simply commenting before watching. You read it. I'll say, Sam Sulik's diet critique, and they'll be like, why are you hating his diet? I might say, it was amazing. This is perfect, the new diet that he's on. They haven't watched it, so they're just going by the negativity in the title and assuming it's bad. So I don't worry
But then
about
you did create that negativity
Absolutely,
in the title.
you have to because of the algorithm. I'd rather 1 million people watch my video and learn how to eat healthy than 100,000 people watch it because I had the proper title and only 100,000 people learn from it. Everyone knows that the title and the thumbnail and the clickbait is part of the video. Now, I'm not going to clickbait it and lie about something I said, but if it's a quote from the video or whatnot, I mean, it's fair game.
When does this end, though?
It will never end.
But the thing is, it's got to end in the end, hasn't it?
It's going to keep getting worse.
Yeah, until we're going rape, murder, eat broccoli. You can't go that far.
Yeah, I mean, if you clickbait to that extent, people will start recognizing that and they won't be able to do it. Like in Mr. Beast videos, he's not going to lie about what happens. There has to be a moment in the video that represents what you said in the thumbnail.
Yeah, true. But you said it never ends, and if clickbait, is getting more competitive and the algorithms are creating more polarization, when does it end?
I have no idea, but I know that you have to do what you have to do to get your views.
Is that not tiring?
It's very tiring. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for me, for my editors, the people that are working for me, because they know the positive message that I'm sending, and we have to almost have a negative message to get the positivity out.
Yeah, this actually, I don't like this about the world.
Worse than this is you have to literally say what's not true to really get a video going. So for example, ego lifting is not good in the gym. That would be like lifting really heavy weights and cheating. If I make a video and say why you should be ego lifting in the gym, it'll get way more views than the opposite. Or if I say why you should never eat apples, it'll get way more views than why eating apples is good for you. You have to say the opposite. And so what people are doing now is, and TikTok and the short form content, people are watching the shortest content that says the opposite. Like if I say, The Rock has a shitty physique, everyone's watching. Coach Greg is going to talk bad about his body. You basically, people in social media now are essentially lying about things,
makes me
saying
sad.
the opposite, and it's being pushed.
Yeah.
Like if I said not eating for 3 days straight is healthy, it builds more muscle, everyone wants to watch that video, even though it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
If anything you say that's the opposite, people want to see.
Yeah, this creates a real moral dilemma for me in that if I want to be successful in getting my message out to the world, I have to play this game.
Yes.
Because I can be the hoity-toity, I'm not going to play this game, I'm going to do my art exactly how I should, and no one's going to fucking watch it.
Exactly.
But then I feel like a whore.
You have to do a bit of both, and you have to only push that line to where you're going to push that line.
Do you not feel like an algorithm whore?
I absolutely do not, because what I post in the title is going to be.
But you are. You've admitted you are.
Well, consider this. If you tell me The Rock's physique sucks, that would be my title. The Rock's physique sucks. And then in the video, I'll say, I was talking to this guy and he says, The Rock's physique sucks. What is he talking about? It's amazing. It's better physique than 99.9% of the population. And so I'm using the title to then talk about and defend The Rock. So is it bad? The clickbait is there, but the whole video is talking in relation to that title. So I'm not I'm not taking his physique and shrinking it down and making it look small, which you could do. Like you can use like.
Yeah, but I guess you could say that his physique sucks if you're looking at it from the vantage point of a 25-year-old female who likes 15% body fat.
Exactly. Whatever. People said my physique sucks. So I put my physique is mid. They said I have a mid physique. Mid means like average. And I'm like,
what does that make me?
If I have an average looking physique, what hope do most guys have? So that was the title of my video. And then I start reading the comments and I'm like, are you kidding me? You think this is average? That's going to create body dysmorphia for young people. They're thinking Greg's physique sucks. They're talking about my stomach having loose skin. I'm like, I'm 48 years old. If this is loose skin, what hope do most people have? What hope do pregnant women have who had a baby? And so I use those comments as a clickbait to watch that video, but I don't feel bad about doing that at all.
No, it's something I've known underneath, but you've given me a little bit of an epiphany here in this discussion, which is it's actually very creative to take a negative headline and then spin it positively.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, that in itself is artistic. So I like that.
Some people hate that, and they would 100% be on your side, and they would argue against what I do.
Yeah.
I get it all the time. Recently, a perfect
but
example.
you have 2 million followers, and they don't.
The Trend twins, they went and they got, one of the guys went into the hospital. He had overdosed on caffeine. He was taken to hospital, and he had a video of him, and he's like, killed by caffeine. That's what he said in his video. And so I copied that and put it in the title. Killed by caffeine, and he had said it. And in the video I said, he said he got killed by caffeine, he overdosed, but he clearly wasn't dead. A lot of people were mad at me because they thought I had said that he was killed by caffeine in the title. I was copying his video. So you can see, is it morally wrong to do that? I'm copying what he said,
well, no,
the words he said.
Yeah.
I didn't make up those words. If I had just said killed by caffeine as a clickbait title, when he wasn't killed, he just went to the hospital, to me that would be wrong because that is a lie. But if I'm copying his quoted material, like there's video of him saying it, I think that's fair game.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, right, I've got some more research I've done here. So the New York Times declared most fitness influencers are doing more harm than good. What are your thoughts on this?
I would say they're wrong. I would say most fitness influencers are doing more good than harm. Most fitness influencers are trying to encourage people to go and be fit. They're trying to get them to go to the gym and work out. Now, are they being honest about it? Perhaps not. It would be like saying, is Eddie Abu doing more harm than good? Eddie Abu wants people to stop eating junk food, but at the same time he's saying things that make no sense, like drinking skim milk is bad, you should only drink whole milk, that fruit is bad, you shouldn't eat apples, bananas, oranges because of the sugar content. All wrong, at least in my opinion, but he's doing more good than harm by a long shot. He's got over 3 million followers. He's encouraging people to stop eating junk food, to start reading food labels at the grocery store saying stop eating chemicals. That is a great message, and so I applaud him for doing that. Now, I will pick on the negative parts of his message, which are the facts he gets incorrect. But I think for sure, without question, more good than harm.
If there's one thing you could change in the fitness industry other than the steroids thing we've talked about, what would it be?
Having realistic goals and realistic expectations. I think most people who are in the fitness industry, YouTube famous influencers, have amazing genetics, like 99 percentile, super good genetics. And because they work hard, they show their physiques and say, see, I worked hard and you can look like me if you just put in the work. They cannot. 99% of people can't do that because you only can look like that if you have those amazing genetics to start with. So what you're doing is you're telling people, if you work out hard for 2 years, you're gonna look kind of like this. And then they go work out hard for 2 years and they don't look anything like that. They feel bad about their bodies and they think, why am I not looking like that? Men could train for 10 years and never look like I did as a 19-year-old because my genetics were really good. And so they get discouraged, they can't get that physique, and then they feel bad about themselves, they have body dysmorphia, and then that leads to steroid use, SARMs, growth hormone, all the negative things, because they want to have the body of their dreams that they thought was possible when it never was. And so my message has been, halfway there, I'll say, close your eyes, imagine your dream physique. Now open them. You're not getting it. Because most people want to look like either Brad Pitt in Fight Club or Cristiano Ronaldo or The Rock or any of these superstar athletes, and I'm like, 1 in 1,000 can look like that, and that's all your goals. I'm not saying don't try to look like that, but don't expect it. Have realistic goals. Can you put on 5 pounds of muscle in a year? Probably. You probably can't put on 5 in a month, though. So let's have realistic goals for most people, so that they don't feel depressed and that they'll be have a good time going to the gym. Because if you join the gym and you think, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in 3 months and put on 20 pounds of muscle, well, you saw it at before and after transformation, and you don't get it. You're going to feel like you did wrong. You're going to discourage, and you're going to quit.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I'm in an industry where I help people be entrepreneurs and become financially independent. Do I think that's possible for anyone? Yes, I do. If they do exactly what other people have done to do it. Do and will most people do it? No.
But let's change that to it being a millionaire. $1 million income per year. Could everyone get $1 million income per year if they follow the best advice?
Now this is nuanced, so I want to try and respect the nuance and not just be flippant. I think if you're in Africa with no internet connection and no water and you're riddled with disease and you can't even get to a library, no. I think if you're in the first world developed country and you're broke, but there's the internet and a library and people you can follow, yes. So let's put that aside, and maybe let's just for ease say half the population, they haven't even got access to it. It's not their fucking fault.
Right.
And they're dying. No, they can't become millionaires in 3 years following a system.
Yeah.
But can anyone in the developed world, with the information that's out there, find millionaires who will give content for free and then read their books and then go to their seminars and then figure out what they did and maybe go and work for them as a bit of an apprentice and learn the rules of money and get out of debt and manage your emotions and have a plan and build a business model that works in the modern world? Anyone can fucking do that.
But what if their IQ were 40?
Probably better.
Really?
Yeah, you don't need to be... The most intelligent people are generally not rich.
That is actually true. However, I think there's a minimum requirement. Like, let's say an IQ of 100 with a standard deviation of 15. If you're 2 standard deviations below the mean, a 70. You're at the bottom 2% of the population, say. Probably going to be difficult to even graduate high school.
Well, maybe, but like often the most successful people didn't even graduate high school.
This is true.
Because they learned street smarts. And the problem with the IQ system test and the education system is it's often just reciting information you've been force-fed to recite. Does that make you a millionaire? No. How many people in the school system who are teaching you this stuff are millionaire? None of them. There's so many theoretical economists who earn 50 grand a year teaching in schools.
Correct.
I'm not a theoretical economist, and I'm richer than all of the theoretical economists because I'm a real life economist. So actually, I don't like looking at averages and means and statistics, because then you're measuring yourself against average and mean and statistics.
Yeah. I think what I would compare to, and everything you're saying makes perfect sense, would be, let's say their goal is to make $1 million a year. I would tell them, based on my point, why don't we make a goal of 100 grand, which is much more realistic.
Yeah, that's the...
And then if we make the $1 million, it's like reaching for the stars and getting to the moon. I'd rather reach the moon, and then maybe we can get to the stars from there.
Yeah, well...
Realistic goals.
Yeah, well, that's sensible. I mean, the thing is, I've not said anyone can be a millionaire in 3 years. I'm saying anyone could be a millionaire in a given time frame. But to be a millionaire, first of all, you have to get out of debt. So if you're minus 50... Let's not get to $1 million, let's get to 0, and then 100, and then 500.
Yes.
But a millionaire would know that. You would know that because you're wealthy from what you do. So you know that practically. You don't need a high IQ to know that.
Correct,
yes, you need someone who's been there and done it.
Yes, I agree. Yes.
So here's my challenge, because I've been doing this for 17 years. I have the biggest property training company in the UK, and for many years I carried this moral dilemma with me, and I've thrown it away now. Is statistically I know most people will fail. So what should I do? I not teach my stuff then?
You absolutely should. And the analogy would be 95% of diets fail. Does that mean I shouldn't try to lose weight?
Yeah.
You were on the same page.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if I can take it from 5% succeed to 7.5% succeed, I've doubled.
You've absolutely done your job.
And I've done an amazing job. But if you scale that up over millions of people, but what I teach, will most people do anything with it? Probably not.
But it doesn't matter, some will.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's working for some people.
So you absolutely still should keep doing it.
Absolutely.
All right, sounds like we agree on that.
Yes, we do.
Right, are bodybuilders happy?
I would say in general, the answer is no. I'd almost say that the average bodybuilder is less happy than the person that don't. And I've a lot of experience because I've coached thousands of people. They get into the sport and they're happy with their bodies. You're a 16-year-old kid, you're 12. At some point, you probably are happy. When you're born, I don't think you look at your stomach and think, I don't have a six-pack. At some point, you're dissatisfied with your body, whether it's
because you compared it to other people.
Comparing yourself to other people. As soon as you're bodybuilding, you're literally being compared to other people and given a dopamine, a reward, a prize at the end of it, saying you're better than that person. You enter your first show, which I did. I won. Great. Now I'm basing my self-worth on how I look. And let's go to the next level. Let's go to provincials. I win again. All right, let's go to the Atlantic champ. I win again. I go to the nationals third. Oh, well, I thought I was real. Next year I'll come back. And eventually I go and I win. And then you turn pro and then you're compared. And so all the time you're dissatisfied with your body because you keep comparing yourself to people who are better. If you're not a bodybuilder, you're just running, you're a bike rider. You don't really look at your body that much. You're not comparing yourself to people all the time. And so you're way more happy because you don't have this notion that you have to look a certain way. As soon as you enter bodybuilding, 25% of people in sports that have a weight class have an eating disorder. Imagine how strong or how high that is in bodybuilding, where you're not based on just a weight category, but also on how you look. I'd say it's 50% of people who bodybuild have an eating disorder legit.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And so my job as a coach, oftentimes I deal more with the mental struggles than the physical. I can give you a diet and a whole thing, and to me that's so easy, but the mental struggles, that's why I'm reading so many books, dealing with people that have suffer from anorexia or body dysmorphia or just how do you get a girl, how do you talk to a woman? These are the questions I'm getting. I'm almost more of a life coach right now than I was a coach of somebody just giving them a diet and a training program. To me, that's easy. Anyone can do that. But the mental struggles, and because I've had this in my own past, in my own life, and because I'm often like talking to these people and my history as a school teacher, I think it's allowed me the opportunity to help these people a lot more than the average person.
So can we talk about body dysmorphia then?
Absolutely.
So I have this problem with labels. So listening to you, I feel like I believe that body dysmorphia is real, listening to you and feeling your passion about it. But the problem with the labels is people go, yeah, I've got body dysmorphia. Did you have? Have you got? Or do you just want to look better? And it's like ADHD. You know, I did a video saying ADHD isn't real. I argued that it might be a label projected by pharmaceutical companies because that's a very good label to profit from. And then people are attacking me and it is real and it's a chemical imbalance, which apparently has been disproven, but whatever. And I'm like, okay, maybe you've got some symptoms, but as soon as you label yourself, you manifest and become the very thing you don't want to become because you've gone, I've got ADHD and I've got body dysmorphia. Personally, I don't really like this little bit of, you know,
that little pinch. I don't want that.
But I've got really good hands, and I like my hands. And when I look in the mirror, I've got a nice face, and I like my face. I don't really like my calves; they're like super skinny. So actually, I don't hate my body. I don't like parts, and I like parts. So I haven't got body dysmorphia. I don't like this bit, but I do like this bit. And I've been told by someone that that's common, that actually some people like parts of their body, but not all parts of their body. So, is body dysmorphia real, or do we have to be careful lobbing that label on 50% of people who just are human?
I think whether or not you want to call it body dysmorphia or not, it's irrelevant. I don't think we need a label, just like I don't need to say, hey, I have Asperger's, or yes or no, or I don't need to have this label. It's all on a spectrum. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being, I can't live anymore, I'm going to end my life. I hate my body that much. That's a 10. 1 is I love my body. It's okay. I'm a 2. I have this arm that I would wish it was better. I broke my elbow in a bike crash. I wish it was better, but it has absolutely no bearing on my life. When I'm out in the auditorium taking photos with people, I'll flex the left arm. I don't have the same muscle as I do on this side. I still do it. It doesn't affect my life. But if I have body dysmorphia, I might not go to the auditorium. I might wear a hoodie and hide my body. I might hate it so much that I'm scared to ask this girl out. If it negatively influences your life, if it's literally changing the things you're going to do, then to me, that's body dysmorphia. Whether you want to call it that or not, you could say it's not body dysmorphia. I just don't like myself and I don't dare go out. I won't go to a bar. I don't go to a club. I won't go on a date. I can't leave the house without makeup ever. I just don't like myself. If you don't like yourself to that point, to me, if it's negatively impacting your life, then we need to do something about it. And you can get help. You can get counseling, a psychologist. It can absolutely help.
Okay, so thank you. So could we maybe do 2 or 3 practical things that people could do themselves to feel better about this body dysmorphia?
Well, the first thing is everyone should realize that it's 100% normal to try to want to improve yourself. Anyone that's bodybuilding or not, like if you're overweight and you want to lose 50 pounds, it's generally healthier. Like if you lose weight, you're going to be healthier. So there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm overweight, I want to lose weight. But if you're overweight to the point of saying, I can't go for a walk, I can't go to the gym because somebody might see me, then that's bad. So what do you need to do? You need to work on your body and try to make it better. But what people need to stop doing is comparing themselves to other people. That is the worst thing. Being on social media for some people, they need to stop. Some people should not have an Instagram account. They should not. They compare themselves, they're swiping and scroll.
Wow.
It's the top 1% of the top 1% are what you're being fed on Instagram. So whether you're a male or female, when you swipe down, when I swipe down on Instagram, every second person looks better than me, has more muscle than me. But yet I'm supposed to be a Chad. I'm not mid, but every second a Chad is like a decent looking guy. Yeah, exactly. But if I look on Instagram, I'm like, I don't have these things. But in the real world, if you're walking around, I'm like, hey, I have actually a good body. I'm in good shape. You know, so you need to stop comparing yourself to other people. So just getting off of social media, stop comparing yourself to other people, and just starting to put some work into your body. Like, be proud of yourself. There's nothing wrong with, say, going to the gym, eating healthy, trying to lose weight. These are all going to help. But don't just think you need to be perfect.
Do you have kids?
I do not.
Okay. Do you fear for the next generation? Imagine you are
I'm in fear. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
right now, I was a school teacher for 11 years, so I know what it's like. And my brothers have children, so I know what it's like for them.
And how do you think it is for them? And what are your fears around children and social media and this impact on them?
Well, the worst thing with social media is it's preventing kids from actually being friends with other kids. Like, people aren't friends anymore in the real world. They'll sit on their phones or their computers and they'll talk to other people. Do you want to have your friends come over and sleep over? No, I'd rather just sit here on the computer and talk. People don't know how to talk in real life. I got canceled on TikTok for making a video defending a man's rights to talk to someone at a gas station. I had 58,000, not views, not likes, negative comments. 58,000 people said, what's wrong? You think you can talk? I'm like, what do you mean? I can't be at the gas station. There's a good looking girl. I say, wow, nice shoes. What a nice jacket. Here's my phone number. Do you want to go on a date? You cannot do that. It's a creep. I'm like, if the guy's 6 feet tall and good looking and he's driving a Lamborghini, he can do it. But just because this one guy, he's not very good looking, this girl's 20, early 20s, beautiful blonde girl, this guy hit on me at the gas station. I defended his rights to do that, and I got canceled, literally canceled. They reported every single photo, video that I had on TikTok. They reported for having sexual content. They just basically spammed TikTok and canceled me.
So your account got shut down?
Multiple times, 3 or 4 times. Every time I try to go back, they do it. So what people do now is they steal all my content from YouTube. They pretend they're me and they post content. One guy's got 300,000-400,000 followers.
Yeah, I get that all the time. No, they just rip off your content.
Fan. I watch you on TikTok. Well, I don't have TikTok, but that's
yeah. That my content gets ripped off all the time, and then they cut your watermark out, or they cut you out of an interview, and
I try to see that as a compliment. That they're stealing it from me, and I think that by following me on the TikTok, they'll eventually find me on the YouTube. So even though I'm upset a little bit,
that's if you've not been cut out of it.
Yeah,
you know, because short formers will cut this bit and they'll cut me out of it.
Oh, yeah, I see sometimes like, wow, that got millions of views. I have the same video on my account. I only got like 20,000. You got 7 million. It's crazy sometimes.
Yeah. So I want to go, this is a really interesting discussion because I think about this a lot. So are you saying, just so I'm clear, people, in case obviously they can't see the cancelled video because it's cancelled, you're saying that you defended a man who tried to basically get a girl's number? He talked
to a girl at the gas station, didn't grab her, didn't harass her, none of this stuff.
Because I would not complained about it.
And she, as soon as this man left, she sat in her car and said, this guy, he's talking to me at the gas station, tried to get my number. I don't got time for that. I got to go home. I got Sphinx to feed. She had 2 cats, Sphinx cats. And I'm like, you had enough time to sit there and make this negative video making fun of this man, taking advantage of him because he's a male, he's a creep. He's trying to get your number, yet 84% of women want men to make the first move. But then when you make the first move, you're labeled a creep. And so what do men do? They don't talk to women. They sit back. And the world's a mess because of this. No one knows what to do. So this guy was made fun of by her. I defended him, and they're like, yeah, you're exactly why I don't let my daughter out of the house. I'm like, you want me to be the person that talks to your daughter because I have respect. I'm a 48-year-old. I was a school teacher. If I'm talking to somebody at the gas station, it's not going to be disrespectful. But they're like, we know what men do. We know what you're going to do. Women's lives. I'm like, The chances of something happening at 3 p.m. at a gas station, I mean, really? Like, but that's the world we live in right now. Now, when I was a kid, there was no social media. I couldn't.
That was the only way you got to go.
I had to approach someone at the gas station.
And you had to get rejected loads of times.
A lot of times. You had to get used to saying no. I would just go out and say, hey, you look good. Can I get your number? And maybe get 50% success rate at best, but you're seeing no all the time. That's what we did. We had to do that. And so when I'm saying no, you can't do it. I'm like, so what do you have to do? You have to swipe? You can only go on Tinder? Like, where is it appropriate to hit on someone? God. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm confused thinking about that. I mean, I know how confused I was when I went through puberty and I didn't have social media and all this comparison curse. And now, yeah. So do you think it's harder to be a man nowadays then?
It's way harder to be a man. It was technically easy back then. Now it's impossible.
Technically easy.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Is it harder to be a man? It's
I mean, it was fucking hard back then.
It's tenfold harder now. To be a man's man, to be masculine. Men have been conditioned to think they have to be we have to be girls, essentially. You have to live in a girl's world. We can't be actual men. And if you defend your right to do so, women will try to cancel you.
Why?
Women want to have all the power.
Is that a fair statement, or is that a little
That's
bit?
my fair statement. If they don't agree with me, they could
control you and cancel you.
Podcast on just this topic alone.
Let's go. I've come from 2 hours away. I've got all day. So you think women don't want men to be men?
Women don't realize that they want men to be men, but if a man's trying to be a man, they'll try to cancel you for it. But as a man, you have to still do that because that's what a woman wants.
So I saw...
It's a little bit confusing. But
it is, and I'm like, we need to go here because you even sort of said and admitted that you've become more of a life coach now than what the bodybuilding, so it's important. I saw something that someone said and I thought, that really resonates. And they said they want a man, and then they want the man to, to be sensitive and give himself and submit to her. And then when he does, they don't want him anymore.
That is
not
exactly what would happen.
Oh,
you cannot simp to a woman.
Simp, yeah.
If you simp to a woman, this is nothing to a woman will think, well, I want this guy, he's a masculine man, he's his own man, and I want to then change him. I want him to conform to what I want. As soon as you do that, she doesn't want you anymore. She wants the next man who's not going to do that. It's almost like the challenge of getting that man. But the man who's strong enough to be himself, his true self, that's the woman. That's the man that the woman wants.
But she doesn't know she wants it.
But she doesn't know she wants it.
And then when she gets what she wants, she doesn't want it anymore.
Exactly.
And in the process, men are being emasculated.
Exactly.
And they're confused as hell.
All men are confused, except for maybe 15% of men who are the true chads.
I'm not confused. I'm not saying this because I need to say I'm not confused. Maybe because, I'm 45, you're 48. We can still go back to that old generation where we actually knew what it was. I know how many times I got rejected approaching girls, and I know how fucking scared I was. I remember the first time I asked someone out on a date by picking her up on the phone, when the phone used to go, oh yeah, that was 7.
Yeah.
And I'm there fucking really nervous. I'm going to this up, and I remember that feeling. And then when she said yes, and I'm like, none of that exists anymore.
Men don't do that anymore. Most men will not do that for the fear of rejection. Plus, 20% of men are thinking that if they approach a woman, they're going to be labeled a creep. Even if that girl wants him. So what chance are you going to have? What do you have to gain? Most women are going to say no anyway. And if you do say it, if you do approach them, they're probably going to label you as a creep. So why would you approach them? So men sit back and they watch porn. This is what's going on.
And of course, porn is nothing like real life.
But yet it's immediate satisfaction. Why am I going to put the world to being made? Why am I going to go out and get made fun of a woman when I can just sit here, watch porn? And so that's why there's so many channels about men need to stop watching porn. They need to stop doing this. You need to start approaching people. And what the best case scenario for most men is they'll go on a dating site and then just wait for a girl to approach them because then there's no rejection.
But then what happens is they actually end up getting it in the relationship, and the relationship goes to shit.
And it's the wrong relationship.
Yeah. So, look, I'm not going to sit here saying if it's men or women's fault, because at the end of the day...
It's both our faults.
Well, I agree, because if you come from the place of, I am 100% responsible for everything in my life, then you can have reflected back to you the change you want by being the change.
That is exactly what you have to think. If you do not think that, you will not be able to change.
No.
You need to say, whatever happened to me, it's because of me. You can blame everyone else, but how's that going to help you? You need to take ownership of it, exactly as you're saying.
That being said, and I'm going to get some hate for this, but go yourselves. And that is, maybe we could ask women respectfully, if a guy hits on you and he's not being a creep, fucking thank him, be nice to him.
That's how I got cancelled. I said in the video, rather than making a video making fun of this guy, say, thanks for the compliment, but I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, but if I say that, he'll then follow me and murder me. This is what people are saying.
Society's pretty then, isn't
It's
it?
100% a mess. And it's because we're living in a society where the feminine rules. Full stop.
But, you know, now let's flip it. Wouldn't some women or some strong feminists, and I'm not saying that in the negative, wouldn't they say, about time, we've been suppressed for 1,000,000 years?
They would absolutely say that. And they were suppressed for a long time. But what happened is men were here, women were here. Eventually, they got equal, and it wasn't enough. And now the women are ahead. Women have a huge advantage in the world right now.
How?
Well, for starters, they basically control all the dating aspect of life. All the men are just trying to date women. Men have to do all the work. Women can just sit back. Men are expected to get all the money, make all the income, spend all the money on their dates, their first dates. Like if you have a first date, it's the man that's expected to pay. The woman wants to have the equal rights to make the same amount of money, but then they go after men who have more money. So women want to be equal with men, but they want a man who's a high value man who then makes a lot more money, higher status, higher wealth. And so really we're gonna all have the same amount of money, and so we're equal here. But then when we go on a date, the males have to pay for everything in the date. Like I'm assuming it's expected that people know that men are gonna pay on the first date at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I've been with my wife 17 years, but before that, I would always test the woman and just wait and sit there when the bill came out. And I used to get a lot of stick for that, and I've done videos on it, and I got a lot of hate. It wasn't really about who's paying, it's about what are you thinking.
I think it's expected, and now I'm newly single, I've only been single for 8 months. It's expected that you're paying. It's not maybe I'll offer.
If anyone expects me to pay, they can go fuck themselves.
You're not going to get many girls. This is the problem. I have no problem doing it, but yeah, I mean, I understand both points, but they want a provider, they want somewhat money, but they also want to make money themselves so they can do their own thing. But like, studies actually showed that the bigger the difference between the money between a male and female, the more likely the relationship is going to work. So when you're a male and a female making the same amount of money, or heaven forbid the woman's making more money than you, very unlikely it's going to last. Women are hypergamous by nature. They're going to look for a higher value man, somebody makes more money than them, but it's more successful than them. It's just in their nature.
I mean, look, if I asked for someone out, if I asked them out, you know, I would offer to pay, but I'm going to watch them because I've been played in my life.
Oh, we all have.
Yeah, we all have.
Oh
I'm fucking easy to play because I'm too trusting. But I've been played because of my financial success. I have been played. It has happened to me, and so now I watch. Like, you don't have the right to expect that I pay for everything. Oh, but wait a minute. Here's the thing. You want me to be around and available for you 24/7, but you want me to be rich as well. How can I do both? How can I go out and be a millionaire? Oh, but stay at home and do whatever you want, wherever you want.
If you actually sit there and allow her to control your time, then you're simping to that woman. There's no way she wants that. If she thinks she can make you wait or what have you, then you've already lost. I see nothing wrong with a man paying for everything. If I'm newly single, if I wanted to get a girl who wanted to just date me for my money, that's obviously going to happen. But she has to offer being feminine.
Yeah,
she has to be nice.
Yeah,
and she has to expect to go on my time.
So what you're saying is, you're happy to pay for everything if you choose to do it, and if she offers equal value, non-monetary.
Exactly.
Which is fair exchange.
I don't want to date a masculine woman. I want a feminine woman. If I'm masculine and feminine, the opposites are going to attract. And 90% of men are masculine. Perhaps 10% are still feminine. It's fine. But most men want a feminine woman.
Most men want a feminine woman. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Is it okay then to say, well, I'll happily be the provider, but you have to do A, B, and C?
I think most men want a woman who makes less than them. I think men would feel emasculated by a woman who makes more than them. I think most men generally feel like that. They might not admit that, but I think most men would like a woman to depend on him for financially. It makes them feel good about themselves. They feel like, hey, this is good. It comes from our biology.
Yeah.
Like 1,000 years ago, we were hunter-gatherers. We go out and get meat or whatever, and they perhaps were taking care of children at home, and that worked. It worked very well. But then all of a sudden we wanted equality, and we got that, and then suddenly the man still has to provide, but the woman is working and making as much money, and so they want somebody who makes more money than them, and so how do you do that? Well, for men, you have to become a high-value man. You have to take care of your body, get an education, make money, and be able to do that, and that's what women are looking for, and that you're 6 feet tall.
But you're not, and you're successful with women.
Yeah, it makes up for all of that. Trust me, 5'6". I remember trying to date
You're
when I was younger.
5'6".
5'6" manlet. I remember dating girls. I was dating on a website or whatever at one point, and I met this girl we had 2 months of chats. I met her. She's like, I can't date you. You're too short. She was 5'11". I didn't care, but for her, it was a deal breaker. So I'm like, okay, and I've been told no a ton of times because of my height. Height is a huge factor in relationships. So I have to offer that much more. There was actually a study, 5'6" versus 6 feet tall, you need to earn $132,000 more. I think it was that exact number.
Well, then you've been given a gift.
To make up for the height. So if you're 6 feet tall, you're automatically better than someone 5'6", and to make up for that, you need to make that much more money.
And you've been given that gift because then you've probably been motivated to go and make that much more money.
Perhaps subconsciously, indirectly, you're trying to overachieve. But I never had
because
problems
we all have
personally.
I'm 6'3", but I haven't got your biceps.
So the muscles, I would argue 6'3", you're going to do better with women than me at 5'6", no matter how much muscle I have. I would say 6 foot something is better than muscle any day.
So let's say I'm 6'3" and not in a very good career, and I've become a bit emasculated, and you're 5'6" and you're earning really good money and in a good career, and you're very strong and sure and sense about your masculinity because you've worked on it for 20 years and you've put respect into yourself. You're probably going to win.
Well, specifically,
not that this is a game,
specifically, if we had equal looks and you're 6'3" and I'm 5'6", I would need to make almost $200,000 or more to make up for that.
So go and make 200.
So if I'm making $5 million a year, I'm winning easily by the money.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I guess what I'm trying to say is, we've all, you might be 5'6" and you've had to deal with that challenge. I've got my own challenges. We've all got our own voids, haven't we, where we're imperfect.
I think the most important thing, though, is being confident. I think that if you ooze confidence, whether you're 5'2" or 6'2", that's going to trump it. If you're 5'2" and a very confident man versus a 6'2" guy and he can't talk to a girl, he's looking at the floor, the 6'2" good-looking guy who can't talk back with words is not going to win.
And so give us a couple of practical tips on how to build confidence then.
Get used to getting rejected. The more times you talk to someone and get rejected, the easier it becomes. It's just part of the routine. Like if you have ace-ace in poker, you're only winning 89% of the time. You got to get used to lose to win. So the more times you can practice getting rejected, the more it becomes normal. You can't think, I can't talk to this girl because she might say no. You have to always think she's going to say yes, but if she says no, it's 100% okay. Have an abundance mindset versus a scarcity mindset. So there's more women in the sea. There's a billion girls out there, probably. Don't think that just because that's going to reject you, that there's not a million more out there.
Do you think we've become a bit soft then in society?
Extremely soft.
Because we've avoided rejection and it hasn't therefore created the toughness, the calluses you get from the gym, the callousness of being able to bounce off and deflect rejection.
Well, everyone gets a ribbon or a trophy just to participate now. You don't even have to win. You just show up and you get last and you get a trophy. You don't have to talk to anyone in the real world. You have dating apps. People communicate with their friends via their house.
And now they're using AI to chat up women.
Absolutely. And so people are not dating in real life. And so, it's horrible.
For years, people have been asking me where I buy my watches. Many of you may know I'm a watch collector, I'm a watch investor, and those as an asset class have done me very well in the last 15 years. I have never shared where I source my watches from or my watch dealer until now. My watch dealer used to be a professional footballer for Manchester United, and he formed a watch brand called Broadwalk, and he sources the higher end brands like Rolex, Audemars Piguet, Patek Philippe and Richard Mille. I trust him, I've used him for many years, and recently we've done a partnership. Hence I'm inviting you, if you want to start investing in watches and protect your money from the banks and inflation, to check out Broadwalk. That's BROADWALK. And the website is broadwalkgroup.com. The email is sales@broadwalkgroup.com. And please don't share this, but his number is 07496 878 153. Obviously, only message him if you're serious about buying and investing in the higher end watches. People have been asking me for years, and for the first time ever, you can get access to my watch dealer.
There's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. So I mentioned before about men succumbing and submitting and simping, to use your words, to a woman because that's what she wants or thinks she wants.
I think that's what he thinks she wants.
Or she thinks she wants, because otherwise she wouldn't be trying to get him to do that. And then as soon as he becomes that, that's relationship over. So I think of the opposite. maybe then to be a stronger man, we actually need to challenge women and reject them back sometimes and have our own standards that we won't accept. And the things they tell us we want, we actually have to have a bit more awareness to go, does she actually want that or not?
Now you're getting to the manosphere. Now you're talking about like a man who's confident,
Right.
who's
I've never
masculine.
studied any of this. So just
This is exactly this is the exact concept. This is exactly what you need to do. That's what you need to do.
when they used to say negging back in the day. That's like a
Negging would be a
shitty form of
compliment and a negative compliment. Wow, I love your hair. Is that real? Knowing full well it's hair extensions. Those are amazing nails. Are they real? No. Oh, they're still nice. Negging. Yeah,
Right.
that would be part of like gameplay.
Which feels a bit false.
I'm not into that. I don't into that. But like these books are written on game. They're written for like the average guy. Like if you have millions of dollars, it's not for those people. So I read these books. I'm like, I'm so glad I don't have to do this. But like for the average person,
But I
they would have
suppose
to.
no harm in learning
To know
some
what people are
tips and
doing.
tricks.
It's sad to see that that's what you have to do for men to get a girl, but some people would have to do that.
Yeah.
But you have like 3 different attachment styles too. We have like avoidance attachment styles, so 25% of people don't actually want a relationship anyway because of childhood trauma and how they were raised. Then we have 25% that are anxious, and so they're always nervous. He's going to be always cheating on me. They have to check their phone. They're spying on you. And then you have 50% who are secure men. So if you want a relationship, step 1, date someone who has a secure attachment style. They're confident in themselves. They know they have their shit together. Because if you don't, it's an uphill battle. Imagine dating somebody that is like going to be reading your DMs and your Instagram and your Hotmail. Like they're constantly, checking up on you, or they don't want a relationship anyway because as soon as they get close, their fear of abandonment pushes them away.
Yeah.
These are hard things to overcome. So step 1, find someone who's secure, and if you are a good communicator, you're pretty much set. It's really that simple.
Okay. I hear you, and that makes sense. The challenge, though, is sometimes it can take 3 months of dating someone to find out
You're dating wrong.
Right.
My dating is an interview. I say I have the whole life.
Your dating
Oh,
is
it's
an
absolutely an interview. I have my whole life to make memories and good times with the girl that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. When I meet someone, it's like, what is your attachment style? I'll bring the book out right away. Are you an avoidance attachment style? Are you anxious? Are you secure? Tell me about yourself. Tell me about your childhood. How were you raised? It's an interview. I have plenty of time to make memories. People are like, no, do the opposite. I spent 3 months getting to know and having great times and it's fun, and then 3 months later, now you're in love, and then you find out that they hate their lives and they had childhood trauma and they've slept with 1,000 guys, and it's like, oh my God, what is going on? You want to find out early. And so the dating is an interview for the best job of your life, which is a secure, long life marriage.
Why did your last relationship end?
I have an NDA and I can't talk about it.
You've got an NDA with your ex?
Yes.
What the
Yeah, I can't talk about it.
This must be a America-Canada thing. I've never heard anyone ever in the UK have an NDA on their split up with their ex.
Yeah, and it's intelligent, it's smart for me. Being as well, I don't want to brag, but as famous as I am in this and
Right.
what I had to go through in that relationship,
did you
I can't talk about even that.
You can't even talk about why there's an NDA?
No. There you have it.
You do realise this makes me want to keep asking you
Of
about
course,
this.
but I can't answer any of the questions about it.
Fuck.
But I had an 11-year relationship. I can say I had an 11-year relationship, and after getting out of the relationship, I began to do a lot of reading, and I've learned a lot.
So you've obviously both agreed to this NDA.
I stopped watching TV. Like, I don't watch TV anymore. I read books. I'm no longer into like watching 90 Day Fiancé or just mindless TV.
Yeah.
I'm about self-improvement. I want to see the world through other people's lenses. I've learned so much from reading books. It's life altering. It's a spiritual growth journey. My life is so different now than it was like a year ago.
Yeah. I'm still on the you have an NDA with your ex-wife. I need to sit in that. Obviously, I'm not going to get through and get you to share anything, so I'll stop that.
It'd be boring me saying I can't talk about it.
Yeah, no, but am I allowed to just have a moment to like...
Sure.
Because
yeah.
I'm floored.
Yeah. I think any famous rich celebrity that would have an ex of 10 plus years would have that almost, like imagine any NBA basketball player or somebody being with somebody for that long, not wanting everything being discussed about the relationship.
Okay.
For example, I don't talk about who broke up with who. I don't talk about why. I don't talk about if I cheated or if she cheated or we both cheated, or we don't talk about any of that stuff.
No, and that would I think that's mature to not bring all that shit up about an ex. Definitely.
Talking bad about your ex does nothing good for anyone. Like if
no.
you just sit here and list all these horrible things, and it's like, well, why did you put up with all that?
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't help you in that regard.
No,
so there's no benefit to talking negative about. So there's some advice for people. Don't talk about your ex in a bad way. It doesn't make you look good. It doesn't make her look good. No one wins.
Yeah.
It's a lose-lose situation.
Well, I think that's very good advice, because one of my first red flags is if you're talking shit about your ex, you'll be saying that to me when I'm your ex. So
Yeah.
it's a big red flag. I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, I didn't ask for that. I'm not here for like. I mean, I don't know how much research you've done about my show, but I don't go into people's past and their relationships. I'm not a trash talker. I was just fascinated because now you've become a voice for men, and I was wondering what experience you've had in your relationship that brings this forward. Is there any? Can you talk to experience you had in the 11-year relationship that you think makes you a good voice for relationships now?
Well, I know that I had a secure attachment style, and I can't say whether or not she did. But if you're with somebody who's secure, I think that it would be very easy to be able to communicate effectively and you know, go over any problem that you might have.
And you already said that. You said about dating it as an interview and finding people with a secure attachment, which means you need to learn what a secure attachment is and what the...
I would recommend everyone read the book Attached. It's an extreme, one of the life-changing books I've had, and if you want to delve deeper into that, Hold Me Tight. It goes further into the book Attached, how to actually communicate with your partner when things are going wrong, how to like go over the stormy seas, like the bad times, and be able to talk through that and not hold grudges, and not, because people are either growing together or they're growing apart. There is no like steady, you have to either be growing together as a couple and communicate effectively and sharing together, or you're going to be sharing with other people. People eventually, they're going together, it might be strong, and then eventually something happens. You might have said one thing, and it's the catalyst to them having a DM from someone else. Maybe it's some hot, cute guy giving them attention. Wait a minute, he's not being nice to me right now, and he's not. I'm going to talk to him. Then you go on this downward spiral of talking to other people. It's like 1% off to the moon. How far are you off when you get there? Probably 100,000 miles. 1% off in a couple discussing things and not really being fully transparent to each other, and all of a sudden they have their own side life here, and it goes south, and you can never look back.
Wow. Yeah. So what if you're one of the 50% of the population that's got this trauma and this...
Then you have to date someone with a secure attachment styles. You have two avoidance attachment styles, they're going to clash. You're never going to work. As soon as one gets closer, you pull back.
Right.
Not good. It's never going to work. If somebody's very secure, the more secure, the better. And by that I mean they just have so much confidence with themselves. So they go off to a vacation to another country, and they're the whole week, and you're like, yeah, have a good time, babe. They don't text you for 30 hours straight. They don't call you. No, I trust her. You need somebody who's that secure. If they're anxious and you go 6 hours and haven't talked, are you cheating on me? And every hour at the bar, are you? That's not going to work. So you need to date someone secure. The more secure, the better. I consider myself extremely secure, very confident in myself. So I can date people who perhaps are not secure. But it would be far better to date someone who is secure, because you don't have to deal with all those headaches.
But surely we all have some baggage growing up, and surely we can all work on those to become more secure, can't we?
Absolutely.
How do we do that?
I would read these books. I would start by reading the book Attached.
So they give you
Absolutely.
they give you some strategies for dealing.
Despite me having I would consider a great childhood. When I talk to other people, they're like, yeah, but have you considered these aspects? I'm like, oh, well, maybe you want this, because like you can really look at your childhood and what you are as a person now. It's because of the mental connections that were made when you're 4 or 5, 6, like as a kid. It's fascinating. I really like psychology in university as well, and so now it's almost like it's the psychology of the mind that I'm really interested in. And so it has nothing to do with fitness, but to me, being healthy, it's not just the body, it's the mind. I can look amazing and have a great VO2 max, heart rate, and muscle, and be strong. But what if I'm depressed, and what if I don't know in my own head what I should be doing?
So have you got like a quick tip for having good mental health?
Read. Stop watching TV. Like, so many people are sitting there mindlessly watching TV and not doing anything with their lives. I would say 2, 3, 4 hours a day. And whether it's TV or just scrolling on Instagram, imagine spending all that time and working on yourself and reading. Like, it doesn't have to be the same books as I'm, but read something. Huge difference. Like right now, I'm more learning Spanish. Like challenge yourself, and the reward of getting better. You always have to be fighting to improve yourself. I always tried to fight with my body, like powerlifting, bodybuilding, but now it's more like the mental. I mean, at 48, how much stronger am I going to get? Am I going to be more muscular at 70 than I am now? Am I going to be able to bench press more at 80? Like probably not, but I can get a lot smarter. I can learn more. Self-actualize, not just about your performance in the gym, but in the mind as well.
So we do a quick fire round. I've got loads here, but I think I'm just going to change up the energy. Up for a quick fire round? Okay, great. And then I might pull out these glasses if you're up.
Oh, sure.
What's the best fitness advice you ever received?
Received. I think that myself, when I was younger, I was told to stay natural and not to go too quick, because when I went to the national championships and I was third, and I was 144 pounds, like 140s. Guy that beat me was well over 200 pounds. And so you see these guys and they're like, they're on steroids, and I'm like, wow, I haven't seen guys like this. And they're like, just take your time. Because if I had started taking steroids at 20, 21, 22, you burn out a lot younger. Even when you take steroids, they don't work forever. You maybe have 5 good years and then you peaked again. Then where do you go? You can take steroids and get bigger. If from 20 to 25, you're pretty much done. Then what? So by having waited so much longer, it allowed me to have an extended fitness career. I didn't turn pro till I was 35, and I retired in my 40s. Most guys are turning pro in their 20s and retiring in their 30s. And because I was older when I started, I had more like the knowledge of what I'm doing. You can make better decisions. And so I would tell people same advice, like take your time.
That's good life advice in a way, isn't it? Take your time.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about the worst fitness advice you ever received?
Bulk up, like force
Get
feed
big.
food, you eat big to get big. I think that is still a common misconception. I hear it all the time. Like, everyone thinks you need to eat a lot of food to get big. Eating a lot of food gets you big in fat. It doesn't get you big muscles. It gets you big in fat. Once you're past 20% body fat, you're just putting on body fat. It's not helping you get stronger. It's only making things worse. It's bad for your health. Then you start yo-yo dieting. That leads to body dysmorphia. You're fat and then you're thin and you get fat again and you hate your body and you get thin. So I'd say the worst advice, bulking and cutting. That's why I preach main gaining, which is basically maintain a healthy body fat percentage around that 15% mark and just slowly build muscle from there.
So other than you don't have regrets, or regrets are great teachers, what's your biggest regret?
On the spot, regrets. Geez. Not breaking up with my ex-girlfriend sooner, I think. Like literally. If I had read all these books, I would have probably ended the relationship a lot sooner. I would think that sometimes you get caught up in the comfort of what you're in, even though it might not be comfortable, and you don't make decisions that you should have made. I think that's in a lot of relationships. Now, I don't want to tell all the married people out there to break up, but perhaps go to counseling right now, read some books, and decide, is what you're in right now worth it? Or, because if it's not, don't waste your time. The abundance mindset, like there's many other women out there, find the right woman for you.
What one thing's wrong in the world right now that you'd love to change? It can be what we've talked about or something different.
I would say the cancel culture right now is one of the worst things. It's absolutely horrible. People think that you can't have an opinion. We learn more from debates rather than hate. I mean, why can't you have an opinion? We've had different opinions here. We can talk about it and rather than me just say, I hate you for saying this, you did it that, and I hate that. Learn much more. I mean, we are in a democratic society. I think that it's important. Yeah, it's important to allow us to have free speech and to talk about things, because how can we change if we don't?
And why do you think it's got to such a fever pitch of being cancelled?
Well, before it was the people who were the oppressors that were like basically in charge, and the minorities were kind of put down. Now it's the opposite. All the minority, like the weakest of the population are almost elevated above and beyond everything else. And so if you're a man who used to be more powerful than a woman and you say something that's against a woman, you're automatically a misogynist. Like you can't say these things. So people like Andrew Tate are hated on because he's speaking from an opinion of, well, he's a very masculine man and he doesn't say things appropriately to everybody. And so they get the cancel culture. We have to cancel. He's not even allowed to speak on YouTube. Even Jordan Peterson's the same way. He makes a few different comments and people are like, he's a horrible human being. I posted a photo of me with Jordan Peterson. Tons of comments. Big L, I'm unfollowing, I'm not subbing you anymore. I'm like, are you kidding? You don't even know what his opinion, like what did I even say about it? Just the fact I'm in a photo with him, they're canceling me. It's horrible. So for me, like the censorship, it's ridiculous.
And do you think people like Andrew Tate and Jordan Peterson are overall good or overall not good for society?
I think overall good. I think overall great. I think that we have to have people that are allowed to express themselves. I don't care what Andrew Tate or Jordan Peterson says or anyone. It can say, I defend people's right to say it. If it's a horrible thing, like the worst thing they could ever say, I'd rather them say it and then a million of us say, you're an asshole for saying that. Because the collective opinions of society is what's going to make change. Like if we just say, you can't say that, who decides you can't say that? Because if it's one person, what if it's our government and we don't agree with that government? That's a scary, slippery slope to go down. Once we start giving people the power to decide who gets to speak up and who don't, that's it. We need to all have that power.
But the problem is we don't have a democracy.
Well, we should. We're trying to.
We think we have a democracy.
We have to allow people to have their own opinions. Like me, I have very strong opinions. A lot of people are mad at certain things that I say, and I'm like, but I have the right to say it, and you have the right to say, you're an idiot, I disagree with you. Then we have a public debate. You say why I'm an idiot, I say why you're an idiot, and then at the end, we all decide what's the best way to do it. That's the only way to grow.
And why does it seem like that's impossible right now?
I wonder why it seems impossible. I don't think it is. I think that people just have to not back down. But most men, at least, are simping. Because we live mostly by feminists. When I say something, people are like, "Yeah, but you're a misogynist." It's automatically that cancel culture. You just have to allow these people like me to keep doing what I'm doing. If I back down and stop and say, "Okay, you're right. I'm going to not say these opinions," then I've lost, and then we've lost. We need myself, Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, and a million others to keep speaking out. And if we don't, we're just going to go downhill from there.
I have a theory on what the problem might be. And the problem is not being able to control your emotions in discourse and debate. So I'm pretty confident in myself that no matter what you said to me here, with me, about me, or how hard you disagreed with me, I can handle it. And I'm going to learn something from you. And even if you hated on me, which of course you're not going to do because you're a pro at this, I'm not going to dislike you just because you dislike me. I might choose to like you even if you dislike me. And I know that I'm going to have a better conversation with you if we can disagree on some things and still shake our hands at the end. And surely that's progress. And that's where I think the problem is, because people can't do that anymore. No, I don't agree with you. Fuck you. You're cancelled. That's wrong. You're this, you're that. Why can't people just converse in a balanced way anymore?
Yeah, I haven't put enough thought into why is it that people hate what I say so much. So for giving you an example, I said in women's bikini competitions, they're wearing a thong and they're on stage and they're clear stilettos with breast implants and fake hair and tan and the whole thing and Botox, lip filler. I said it's a very overtly sexual competition where you're arching your back and your hair is blocking, and it's like, who's the hottest girl that's kind of winning? And the women were furious, not all, but some. And they're like, you're a misogynist. You should be canceled. And I lost my ability to judge women's bikini competitions because of some of the comments I said. And I'm like, but I'm speaking the truth. And I'm talking to 99% of people are like, yeah, but he's speaking facts. But because I'm speaking negatively in a way about women, that's wrong. And I'm like, yeah, but can I say it's sexual? And then you make a video or talk and say, you know what, it isn't sexual because we're wearing a thong and we're arching, but it's not. Make the argument. But to say I can't say that and have that censorship, that is where it's going to go wrong. And I'm not going to stop. If I saw those comments and said, I'm never going to talk about women ever again, and that's what I've been told, never bring up, don't do that. Well, then we've lost.
So what about the people who are in this precarious position? So I've got some people close to me. I was just in Romania a few weeks ago, interviewed Andrew for 5.5 hours, Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate for 2.5. I know them very well, and quite a lot of people, especially those really close to me, don't want me to have any association with them. And I'm in this moral dilemma because some of those people around me I really respect. I've got a lot of history with them. They're coming from a good place of wanting to commercially protect our interests. And there might be the argument, what about if someone's in a position where they could lose commercial deals, or they could have to sacrifice commercially with any association? Do you see the moral quandary? I mean, if you were to lose everything for speaking your truth, would you still speak your truth?
I don't think I would have the courage to do that.
Which is very honest, by the way.
And Jordan Peterson, I was at his seminar when I went to Columbus, and he spoke exactly to what you're talking about. And there was a question from the crowd that had been written out, and it was about, I think it was a surgeon, and they were saying that they were being forced. It was something to do with the mask and the whole thing, and they were like, I don't want to do this, and then I'm going to lose my job if I don't. And it was like, well, he said what you should do is go home and talk to your wife about it and decide, because you have two situations. You can do what morally you think is right and lose all your money, or you can do what you don't think is right and keep it all, but which is better? And he says, I don't have the answer for you. That is for you to decide with your loved ones. Will they be still there for you? Would they not? If you're dating somebody who was only dating you for your money, and you say, you know, I can't live with myself if I don't make this call, I'm gonna lose all this money that I have, and they say, I don't wanna be with you, then were they really with you? Ever. If they were only there with you for your money and they couldn't live through that, I mean, I feel like they should support you no matter what. And so that decision, I think every person has to make. I don't know if I would be strong enough to do it. I would like to think I would, but I don't know that. Unless it actually happens, I think most people would just say, of course I would. I would never do that. Same thing like, would you take steroids if you knew you could be a multimillionaire in a movie? And you're like, I'm against steroids. But if you were offered that contract, said, put on 20 pounds of muscle, you'll be the next actor in this thing, and you're an actor, you're probably gonna do it. Many people say, no, I would never do it. I used to say I would never take steroids, but then I ended up taking steroids.
Yeah.
So I can't sit here and say, oh, I'm better than anyone, I would do this. I don't know if I'd have the courage to do that.
No, but I think it's a really great debate to have. Because some people, they don't get the choice. I'm friends with quite a lot of people who've been cancelled because we seem to get on well and they seem to be attracted to my show. And whilst there probably were some warning signs along the way, maybe if they were doing it again, they'd be able to see them. But ultimately, it was too fucking late because they got cancelled and then had to think about these things and have these discussions after. But then it's too fucking late.
They tried to cancel me from my own YouTube channel about talking about the IPB. They did copyright strikes on my videos, the videos I talked about women's bikini. And I'm like, but I didn't break any of the fair use of YouTube. But the first video they copyright strike, they allowed it.
Yeah.
They tried it again. They said it was copyright strike ever, but it wasn't. YouTube actually was on my side. And they defended my right to say what I did.
Well,
so
that's
they did what they were
refreshing.
supposed to do, which I was very nervous. So I didn't dare post more than one video that they could strike at the same time because I didn't want to get canceled. But at the same time, I don't want the videos to not be made. So what I did is I posted one video every day and then I deleted after day when the viewership would go down. So I only had one video. So I was able to kind of do both things at the same time. I was able to get my opinion out, but not so much that gave them the opportunity to cancel me. And so once they did copyright strike me, YouTube decided, no, you're allowed to do what you did. And so in the end, it worked out, thankfully, but I could have been canceled.
So when you say you post it for a day, is that because you'll get a day or two of views before it all gets picked up?
150,000 views in a day, and then maybe you'll get 10,000 after that, and it's the view. And then the next video, it's the same topic, and get another 150,000 views, the same topic with a different video. Like I'm saying it, one video is me yelling about it, another video is me calmly talking about it, another video is talking about some women's opinions on it. It was a lot of drama in the fitness industry. Like everyone was talking about my video about women's bikini because I said it's very sexual. Not all women want to pose in a thong in clear heels. For example, if you're a professional, maybe you're a doctor, a teacher, a mother, maybe you're not comfortable doing that, having to flirt with the judges. Am I saying it's wrong to do this? No, but I'm saying some women, maybe they're religious, maybe they can't do that. Maybe the bikinis have gone a little bit too revealing. You know, maybe I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but I think that we need to have this discussion to decide, is it okay?
Does having the perfect body make you happy?
Absolutely not. Not at all. I think it's so much more important to read books. People all think, if I get that body, then I'll be happy. I warn people about it all the time. You will never be happy. And if you think that's what's going to do it, it's a downward spiral. It's probably going to get worse. The better you look, the more you compare yourself with other people. Let's say you're a 5 on a 10 on an argumental scale. When you go up to a 9, you're comparing yourself to all the 9s. It's even more competitive. When you're a 9.9, oh my goodness, then once you drop down a point. So imagine you get your perfect body and you're 30. How are you going to look at 60? You're done. You have no chance. If you base your self-worth on how you look, you're never going to be happy. It has to come from within, as cliche as that sounds, it has to come from within.
Because you said that money doesn't make you happy as well earlier,
Absolutely not. Well, statistically speaking, they've done studies on this. People who are very happy, the increase in wealth up to about $1 million makes them happier. People who are actually depressed or unhappy, up to about $100,000 makes them happier. So more money makes more happiness, but my personal belief is because that money comes with more success. Like when I started making millions of dollars on YouTube, yeah, it was like more like, this is cool, I'm making so much more money, but it's not the money. It's the thought that I was able to get that money, the work is being paid off, you're being rewarded with what you put into it. When you're working 100 hours a week and you start getting millions of dollars, it's like, wow, but I don't think it's the money. I think it's the fact that you are able to do that. Because I don't need that much money. Like money doesn't motivate me, but it's a measure of success. Like I'll never spend all my money, but like, it's still something I strive for because that's the measure of success. I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does completely.
More money isn't making me more happy. I have more money than I need, but it doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying to make it, because that's the measure of success.
Yeah. What do you think about the saying that money isn't everything, but everything is better with money?
I think it's true to a point, and then we could say up to 100,000 with people who are depressed and 1 million. But making 100 million is absolutely not going to make you happier than 1 million. There's no way. I just can't fathom that. It might be cooler, but I would argue that if you're a billionaire, then it's going to be more annoying. Like a certain level of fame is more and more enjoyable, but I couldn't live my life the way I am right now at this fitness conference. I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Like it was like all day, every day.
Like to get to this interview, I'm putting my hood down and have to walk out. I don't want to say no to fans. I want to shake everyone's hands, but it is very tiring. It's exciting at the same time, but imagine being as popular as The Rock day in and day out with being swarmed by fans. It's a great feeling and I love it and appreciate them all, but I couldn't do it every single day. You need to have some anonymity and live your life. It's cool occasionally, but and talking to other YouTubers like who are really like famous, it's a different life. It's overwhelmingly positive. It's great, but I couldn't do it every day.
So I think what you're saying, because I love talking about money, because I think there's just such a lack of education around money. And a lot of people who are saying money doesn't make you happy are actually broke people who've never known what it's like to be rich, or billionaires who've got so much money that they can say that. I think it's nice to honour the fact that your life is better, easier, faster, with more access, with a certain level of wealth. Let's say $1 million.
Yes.
But of course, when you're a billionaire, you have to have security everywhere. People target you for kidnapping, yada, yada. So I think a self-awareness and a wisdom in money is to be honest and go, actually, I'd quite like to be rich, and I'd quite like to have a nice house and a nice car, and that's okay, and that doesn't make me a bad person. But then know where the limit is, where above that, your life is maybe not that much better. But you've got to get to that limit like you have. You wouldn't have been able to have the wisdom to say above $1 million or whatever is not much more happiness until you've actually got there.
Yeah, I'm definitely not happier after making, let's say, $500 million a year for like the first year that I started doing well. I don't feel like I can do anything more now. I don't need to buy a jet. You know, it's just like there's no happiness in that. I don't need a yacht. Like, what am I trying to do here? I don't need that at all. I don't even need a first class ticket on a plane. I'm very simple. I'm not materialistic.
Well, you haven't got the leg room issue like me, have you? So.
No, absolutely not. So I don't need that. Not at all.
Yeah.
And I was poor for a while, and then I made, like, not poor, well, yeah, but like no money.
Is it not a great gift to have been poor and broke and then be wealthy? So a thing I love to do, I always love to buy dinner. I love to buy the $2,000 dinner, and I love to buy the $20 dinner, and I always make it my rule. And here's why, because I remember when I was broke and had a girlfriend, she had to pay for everything, and I felt such shame. And I said to myself, one day when I get enough money, no one's ever going to buy dinner around me. And I've got that context because I was broke. So do you think maybe you've got this level of context and awareness around money because you know what it's like not to have it?
Absolutely, and I think that I feel bad for some of these young YouTubers that are like the 18-agers and 20. They're making so much money, they're buying Lamborghinis, but they're not happy because it came so easy. You didn't have to work for it. I didn't make money till I was like in my 40s. So I had to struggle, I had to work. I've done both. And for me, a measure of happiness is getting more than you expect. If you expect $1 million a year, you're making $1 million at 20, and you make $500,000 at 30, you're depressed. But if you made nothing and then suddenly make a little bit more, that's all you need. Whether it's the gym, money, anything more than you're used to. If I put on 2 pounds of muscle this year, that's more than I had. I'm going to be happy. But if I expected to put on 20 and put on 10, I'm depressed. Yeah. So that's why I have that, going back to bodily expectations. If you expect to lose all that money, I have realistic goals, because if you make less than you expect, you're going to be disappointed. If you want to lose 100 pounds and you lose 50, and you wanted to lose 100, you're gonna be depressed, but you lost 50, that's fantastic, it's amazing. But you're not gonna be happy because you expected to lose the 100. So for me, in my whole life, I always expect less. When I go to an airport now, I don't even expect to get on it. They have security, they'll check, I might miss it, they can't. If I get on a plane, I'm like, wow, I made the plane. Only 4-hour delay, that's nothing. Like, that's my attitude. I always expect less, and some people, I'll argue with my brother all the time. I'm like, oh, I don't think we're gonna make that much money. I think we're only gonna make whatever. I don't know how to say the number, but no, we'll probably only make half that. What's your attitude? You should be going for more. I'm like, it's not that I'm not gonna try my damnedest to make the most, but I'll be satisfied if I make way less than the projected or the goal.
That paradox, I think, is fascinating because you sort of caveated it at the end, but the problem with no expectations would be that you don't set any challenging goals to grow.
I've always been a person that is like motivated by being better than I am. I wasn't really a compare myself to other people. So people ask me like, how does it feel to set the world record in the Guinness or the bench press? And I'm like, honestly, I was just trying to set my own PR. I wanted to be better than I had done. The fact that I beat other people, it's kind of a cool little bonus, but that wasn't the goal to like beat them. It was to beat me. Whether it was whatever I did in life, whether it was a Nintendo game or an Atari game, I was like trying to set my record. Like I'm number obsessed. And so now I just want to be better at bike riding. Because, and I'm not that good, I can't beat Lance Armstrong, I'm not a professional bike racer, but it's still just as fun for me, even though I'll call it above average, as when I was a professional bodybuilder. Because I'm comparing to me as to myself, and I get a little bit better, well, I feel amazing about that. It's just improving in any aspect of life, I like it. If I learn a bit more words in Spanish, oh yeah, I love it, the dopamine rush. I'm just excited by being better than I was, like in everything. That's what makes me feel good, I guess, yeah.
Didn't you turn your YouTube channel from something like 20,000 followers to like 1 million in very quick time?
Yeah, probably in a year I went from that lower amount. I was probably one of the most, if not the most trending social media fitness influencer in the world for a solid year. All positivity, I had a cult following, I could say or do nothing wrong. And then once you get to the 1 million followers, then it's kind of like, wait a minute, now then you start getting haters coming in. So it's different. On the rise up, you deserve so many more followers, you're amazing. Then when you get 2 million, how did you ever get that? I'm like, hey guys, it's just, I like the haters, that like you have to embrace everything.
Yeah.
A lot of people can't handle that. I think that people are commenting at all, that take their time out of their day to write any comment, that I've made such an influence or difference in their life that they had enough passion to hate me even. Like to me, that's
better than them not commenting, isn't it?
Exactly.
For you?
Please feed the algorithm. I literally will screenshot the haters and I put it on my wall. I've had people try to cancel my Instagram. You posted my message. I'm like, yeah, isn't that what you wanted? I gave it to a bigger platform. They say some hateful comment to me. I'm like, all right, put it there. They're trying to call you, like YouTube or Instagram, you highlighted me, you can't do that. I'm like, I literally shared your social comment to everyone. Isn't that what you want? Well, now people are giving me threats, they're taking it. I'm like, that's not on me, you did that. I shared your comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, the haters are feeding the algorithm. I mean, I want more.
More hate, the better. You need to be, to make it in social media, you can't be lukewarm. It's either hot or cold. Take a stance, an opinion, and fight for it. They can say they disagree. If I was liked by everyone, I wouldn't have any popularity on YouTube. How could I? You have to have some haters. My comments are very polarizing, just like a Donald Trump or a Jordan Peterson or an Andrew Tate. And so I have to expect some people are going to dislike me.
And how did you grow from like 20,000 to 1 million in a year?
I would say by posting more than every single YouTuber out there. I have 3,300 videos. I was posting 2 videos a day. Right. How many people do that? I was working 100 hours a week. I'm like, you go out there and record 2 videos a week. Record and post 2 videos a day and see how you're going to do. Eventually, one of them is going to go viral when you post that many videos. And so you had no choice but seeing one of my videos pop up on your screen. And I'm in there and I'm screaming and shouting. And they got the energy and they're like, oh, this guy's interesting. You had to. I'm posting so often. You post 1 video a week, or me with 14. Who's going to have more chance of getting noticed? So one of my videos you pop on and you're like, I hate this guy. And then you watch another video. And by 10, you like me. The first 10, he's annoying. He sounds like the parrot of Aladdin. I don't like this guy. Eventually, they get into it. They wait a minute. He has a good message. He's not such a hater. He's not just drama. And then I have a fan.
And are you still posting that much volume?
I would say it's 10 to 12 videos a week. I recorded 27 videos last week before I got here. And I've recorded several while I'm here. I'll be 1 in the morning recording summaries of the video of the shows that I'm watching. Work in the morning and at night. It's always work. But
and is this your full-time thing?
This is it. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So if
a
someone's-
large staff, a large team.
Yeah. So if someone wants to do content, but they've got a job, or can that be a thing that they can do still?
Absolutely. I was a school teacher when I started. I started YouTube in 2006, and I tried for many years to get success, and it just kept trying different things. Eventually, when it started to take off, I said, okay, I'm going to do this more full time. Like I was a coach, like I would do personal training and whatnot. I did less of that and more of the YouTube. And then as soon as I could make a living, I started scaling down the coaching and did more of the YouTube videos.
Yeah. Are you game for trying this?
Sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I'm going to put them on. I'm
Yeah,
quite
I'm down.
quite excited about this,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. So for people, let's keep rolling and maybe keep this in the edit. So I've just bought these new Ray-Ban Meta glasses. We are now live behind the scenes in a real life interview. Hey, John.
Hi.
So I'm with Greg Doucette. Greg,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm fantastic.
Where are we right now?
We're in the UK, Birmingham, at the Arnold Classic.
And how's the show been?
It's been absolutely phenomenal. A great crowd, huge venue. It's amazing. And the weather's nice today even.
And do you do it every year? Do you come to the show every year?
This is my first time ever coming here, but I plan to come every year now. Yeah, it's a great time.
Yeah, and I guess there must be a lot of important people in the fitness space here.
I would say probably half of the, like by important I mean like famous or well known. There's so
Yeah.
many influential social media influencers. Yeah, it's quite great.
And how far could you walk in the show without being recognized?
A couple feet, maybe. Yeah. It's pretty overwhelming. It's wild. I love it though.
Yeah. Does it make you feel grateful that you've impacted so many people, or is it difficult at times to be, in your space, super famous?
I have never heard so many great, nice comments in my life. It's so much positivity. Like it's absolutely unbelievable, overwhelming. It makes you feel like, wow, that those videos I've done, it's made such a difference in people's lives. People saying, I helped you lose 100 pounds. I bought your book. It's unreal to be me. Like I can't believe it's happening to me. Like it's a dream.
So can I ask you a question selfishly?
Sure.
I'm 45, and I have had discussions with people about, whether I should have, TRT, HRT. I'm at that age, aren't I? Got a bit of thinning
sure.
hair there. Apparently the testosterone's supposed to go down. I'm still waiting for that to happen. So should someone like me in 40s consider testosterone help, replacement, whatever?
I think that if you don't feel the way you used to, that you should go and get tested to see if you've actually gone down. Like there are testosterone levels that you should have, and if you're below that mark and the doctor says, wow, look, that this is down, you're experiencing erectile difficulty, you can't concentrate, you're not sleeping well, then absolutely you should. Consider, we give girls, teenagers, birth control. These are hormones that we're altering. Why can't an adult man in his 40s who would perhaps need this to feel better, to live a healthier life, why would they not consider it?
And if you're thinking that things are okay, is it still something you should check out as almost like you might do routine health checks as you get older?
I would highly recommend that. For example, you're 40 years of age, you go and get your testosterone levels checked. Let's say they're at 600 nanograms per deciliter. Then you find that's okay, that's your baseline. Then you go back at 50 and you find out it's at 200. Oh my goodness, what happened? It should only go down by about 1% per year. So at 40, if you're at 600, by 50, 10% of 60 is 660, you should be at 540. And so if you're at 300, something's probably changed, and then you can have that baseline to compare it to, and then the doctor can say, yeah, based on this, we think you should do that. And so to me, it's with knowledge comes power, and I would highly recommend it.
So you're 48, is that right?
48.
So can you give us a few tips on what you've done to stay both fit and healthy and strong at 48? I guess they're kind of different questions, aren't
Well, I
they?
used to be a professional bodybuilder. I don't consider that to be healthy. In fact, I think it's dangerous to do this sport at that level. But since that time, since I've retired, I do a lot of bike riding. So to me, cardio is paramount. I think it's more important than lifting weights. For me, the most important muscle, it's the heart. And so at least 150 minutes of zone 2 or moderately intense cardio a week, that should be your minimum. That combined with eating all the food groups, from my opinion, some people could argue you could do carnivore and keto and all this. I think it's good to eat from all 4 food groups. Fruits and vegetables mainly people are avoiding, getting enough fiber, and not being obese. I think it's extremely important not to be overweight. If you're overweight, 50 pounds overweight, and you can lose weight, you're gonna automatically be healthy. Both your heart, literally everything is gonna be healthier about you if you do lose some weight if you're obese.
And then what about the connection between the physical body and the mind and, the health with the well-being? How do you find that that's connected?
I think the mind is equally as important as the physical. For example, if you're struggling with body dysmorphia, trying to be very, very lean, and you're not eating yourself because you're just trying to look a certain way, and you're depressed, and you don't like the way you look, I think you're going to be depressed. I think that's going to affect your physical health as well. And so it's very important that you're not just healthy physically, but mentally as well.
And what would come first then? Working on your physical to help your mind, or working your mental to help your body?
I don't think that one is before the other. I think they're definitely done interchangeably. I think that by doing any exercise, it's going to help you mentally, automatically. If you're depressed, if you're in a low state and you just don't like your body, anything, and you go for just a simple walk, automatically you're going to have a better mood. It's an automatic betterment. So if there's anything you can do in your life, if you're just lazy, sitting on the couch all the time, take care of your physical and you're automatically going to be improving your mental. Not saying it's going to cure it, but certainly being physically active is a cure. Remember that time when you had to wear a mask, the pandemic, and they shut down the gyms? The mental health of people, like when you take out the physical, the mental is going to go down as well. And so you had two bad things happening at the same time, and it was a detriment to so many people.
What are your thoughts on these sort of like being really disciplined for like 6 days and then having the sort of cheat day?
I think that it's silly to have like a cheat day. I think that if you need to have a cheat day, it's because your diet isn't structured in a way that you should be able to do it every day. I never have a cheat day. I don't feel I ever need a cheat day because every day I can eat what I want. Once you find the diet that you love and that you can follow, you can do it for the rest of your life. So for example, I made a cookbook, sold nearly 100,000 copies. It's filled with foods that are low in calories, that are large in volume and filling and very tasty. And so any day I can follow these recipes and I don't miss anything. And if I want to go to a restaurant and eat with a girl or guys group, no problem. On any day, there is no day that I can't eat a slice of pizza. It's part of my diet. And if you do a lot of cardio, everyone can do it.
Is depression real?
I absolutely believe depression is real. I don't know how to expand on that. Yes.
Well, I mean, some people say it isn't. Andrew Tate has said it isn't real because I think what he believes is, you can take full ownership of your mindset and not subscribe to the label of depression, and you can do things that you said, like go out for a walk and go and exercise. And
I think he's probably trying to give more power to the person. Kind of like when I say, you can do something about it when you're morbidly obese. Some people say, fat acceptance, I'm 400 pounds. I'm like, yeah, accept the fact that you're overweight, but be proactive and think you can do something about it. I think he's just trying to give empowerment to people and say, you're depressed, but if you go for a walk, it's going to perhaps lessen that depression. I don't think you'll get out of it completely, but I love to think things are on a spectrum. If you're depressed 9 out of 10 and you're sitting down and doing nothing, if you go for a walk and exercise, maybe you're an 8. Is giving you some power to do that. I think that's probably what he means. I can't imagine somebody thinking that there's no such thing, that there's no depression, but perhaps he just doesn't want to label things. But certainly on a spectrum, there's people who are more depressed or less depressed.
And do you think it's good or right that people go to the doctors and they say that they're not feeling very good and they've got mental health issues and then they're given antidepressants?
I think that they can do a lot less of that. I think we're being overprescribed antidepressants. I think that exercise and being healthy could do a lot. I even think that HRT, we discussed earlier, I think HRT is enough for some people. You're depressed, you don't feel any energy. Maybe if you took testosterone, that could be a better solution. But I think that that's kind of the last resort. I think we should try to feel better about ourselves, maybe read a book, get some exercise, do things that make you feel happier. And then at that point, if it's not working, then I absolutely think that you could be prescribed medication to help.
For everyone who's watching live on Facebook, this is the first time I've ever done a live interview through these Ray-Ban Meta glasses. I'll have a look and see how it went. This is probably going to be at least 90 minutes when edited, and it'll be on the show Disruptors, for those of you watching live. I always have a little round called the Disruptors round, Greg, because this show is called Disruptors. And I thought, well, I better keep some things on theme. So what's the biggest risk you've ever taken?
I would say talking openly about performance-enhancing drugs on YouTube. I think that's a huge risk. I was almost one of the first, and I think that taking that risk, got lucky that it allowed me to do it because I don't promote it. I just felt like with knowledge comes power. I'd say I'm not trying to use this, but I'm going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly. A lot of channels would have been canceled for that, but taking that risk and doing that allowed to me to be open, honest, and people are like, he's not bullshitting, he's not lying about stuff. I'm telling you, this is the steroids I took, this is the doses, this is what it did to me, these are the good and the bad, and people listened to that, and it really drove me to be very popular and gave me this platform I have today. Now I have a lot of people that hate me. Why don't you talk about steroids all the time? Well, that's not what I do. It was one thing I covered. I've already covered that, and now I'm on to this different avenue, which I like just as much.
And did you have any fears or doubts when you took that risk?
I had to, in high school, I said, it was like a life-changing thing. I said, I'm going to stop giving a shit about what other people think of me. Like, I can remember the moment, and I was going to do a presentation, and I'm like, I was nervous. I'm like, they're going to make fun of me. I'm going to tell these jokes, and I'm like, just don't care. Listen, the worst can happen. They all hate me. So I wasn't worried about it. And so I said, well, who gives a shit? There's these people on YouTube that I've never met that are going to hate me. And in doing that, it allowed me to be myself. And being just authentic and myself, that's what really allowed me to be who I am today.
And are you still able to truly be that, or does there come a moment and a time every now and again when there's a little doubt?
I am definitely myself. I'm very much my authentic self. I think I have to not say as much as I want in a negative way because I have no tact. And so they're like, Greg, you can give the same message and be yourself without being an asshole. You see, so I can say the same message, but like just say it in a different way that doesn't piss off too many people because it's the same message with less of the negative.
And what is the most disruptive thing you can remember anyone saying or doing to you?
Saying about me?
Or doing?
Well, saying would be when people started writing, I know why you lost your job, you were a pedophile, which they made up completely.
Whoa.
And I'm like, okay, guys, this is going too far. And I'm like, I'm literally trying to find a person's address and going over and having a chit chat with them, let's put it lightly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so people make up blatant lies. I would say lately saying I'm a cokehead. What else? Let's see, that I have escorts from different countries, that I'm high on drugs whenever I do my videos, that I smoke marijuana before videos, or that I do coke, lines of coke. Consistently every day I get these kind of things. So there's always some horrible lies that are said about me that are just not true. I don't mind you saying I'm an asshole, I don't like your video, but when you deliberately lie about something, like you make up a lie, that's to me when you cross the line.
And that could ruin your business, your reputation.
Absolutely. And you read that one comment, and then somebody says, I read that you were this, and then they say it in another, and I'm like, well, then now there's 1,000 comments on something that has absolutely no truth.
Do you think there's enough law to protect people from that?
No.
No.
Once you've been accused, you can't undo an accusation.
No, and of course, if they word it slightly cleverly, it's not even an accusation.
No, I think he was. But this guy was like, I know him from Halifax, and I know he did. I'm like, you don't know how I'm not a school teacher. Maybe it had nothing to do with the fact that I was arrested for selling steroids. Maybe let's go there. But they just make up a different, absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know that. You were arrested for selling steroids?
Yeah, I had a criminal record. I wasn't allowed in the United States for 10 years. I had to hire 2 groups of lawyers to get me in. They said I had a 5% chance of getting in, but I have businesses. And so they said, no, he's not a likely guy to do this ever again. So yeah, criminal record. I'm open about it. I'm so open and honest, almost honest to a fault. Some of my friends will tell me, Greg, you don't need to say, somebody will say, do I look fat in these jeans? I'm like, yeah, quite fat. You're 36.5%. I'm like so honest, or like, Greg, there's something wrong with you. You have some social disorder, like you don't know how, you have no filter. I'm like, okay, I'll work on that. I'll work on not being so open. But I don't know, I think that people like love the fact that I say exactly what I think. I'm not scared to be myself. I tell you exactly what I think. And I mean, that's really why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's because I'm unfiltered.
And what was being arrested and that whole sort of criminal record thing with steroids, was it overall bad for you or overall good for you?
For 2 years, I would say that I was not depressed, but close to it. Lost majority of my friends. Had a bunch of lies about what happened through it. I walked around with a baseball bat. I slept with one. I had post-traumatic stress disorder after this. It was a bad time in my life. I had boxes. I didn't have any money. I owed money, my maxed credit cards. I had nothing going for me. People didn't want to hire me because they didn't want to be associated with me. And I never gave up, and I kept fighting, and I kept trying, and then look what I did with that. And so I think that people will try to cancel me now. Don't you know that this guy that's telling you to eat healthy and exercise, didn't you know he did steroids, that he was selling steroids? And it's like, and look what he's done with that. I should be a motivational story, a success story, that you can overcome all this shit that could do in your life and have a horrible reputation and yet still come out on top. Like, I worked very hard to get over this. And so, I mean, and so enough so that they let me into the United States. That's why I didn't attend the Mr. Olympias and the Arnolds for 10 years. I wanted to. I was a huge fan of the sport. I wasn't allowed to travel.
Right. Wow. I'm glad we got that. That was a bit of a random one. Well, not random for you, obviously, but I didn't know that. So what's the most disruptive thing you've ever done?
selling steroids
That-
and getting arrested and being on a house arrest for 20 months. In Canada, see, if it had happened in the United States, I would 100% have been put in jail. But in Canada, where it's not illegal to use steroids, it's a lesser crime. It's a class 4 versus a class 3. So a lot of people thought I ratted out a bunch of people to get out of prison or not get to jail. And I'm like, no. It's not as serious as a crime. So they say these rumors and then they start calling you rat because, well, you're more successful than them or you're doing better and they want to put you down. And so they find the lowest way to do so. They just put you down. I had to overcome all of these things, completely change my reputation, but yet every single day, not a day goes by that people don't remind me of this.
Yeah.
Your friends, your family, new people that I'm going to meet. But I'm like, if you're going to judge me based on something I did years ago, then what kind of person are you?
This show's called Disruptors. So what does that word disruptive mean to you when I say it?
Seems like what everything I do on my own channel, disrupt ruffling feathers.
And do you sometimes ruffle feathers?
Not sometimes, always.
Sometimes just for the sake of it?
I don't know if it's on purpose for the sake of it. I think the purpose is just because I want to call out the BS, and I think that I have the right to do so, and they have the right to be upset with me, to flack back at me, but I don't see it as I'm just ruffling feathers just because I want to get views. I do it because I'm trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
Like if 1 million people watch me say, you guys took steroids and you're open about it, and then you had a heart attack, and I say, hey, you should, I think the message is it's going to help people.
So here's something I don't think I've ever talked about. I've done over 1,000 episodes, so this might be the first conversation of this, but something that sits with me is, I don't mind pissing anyone off, and I don't mind being disruptive in the seeking of the truth. But I also, if I can avoid that, I don't want to upset people I respect and admire. So for example, all the people I have on my show, for 20 billionaires, some of the most famous people in the world, I meet so many new people in all industries. Ideally, I'd like to have an ongoing relationship with them. Hopefully we stay in touch, hopefully we can help each other, because that's kind of what I'm like. But I have a few times created thumbnails, well, my team have, and then it's really pissed off the guests that I've published the content on. So I'm good friends with Grant Cardone, and he messaged me, and we've been friends since I met him and interviewed him years ago. He was really pissed off with a thumbnail which said Grant Cardone exposed, and he got really upset, and he was, shame on you, brother, this is total bullshit. And I've had a couple, I won't name a couple of others, but they got really upset with me with the thumbnail. So now, I mean, with you, I know I could create the most outrageous thumbnail and you'd probably appreciate it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to react to it. The worse the thumbnail, the more.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
So I feel comfortable with that, but not everyone's like that. So have you lost a couple of friends along the way, or peers in the industry? Maybe you would like to like them, but you pissed them off?
I've pissed off a lot, a ton of people. Oh, absolutely. And they've hated me for years. Sometimes they come back after a while. A lot of times, if we can have an actual conversation together, 90% of the time at least, after I talk with somebody, the beef is over, it's squashed. But I mean, I'm going to say more than 100 times have I done this where I've made a thumbnail, the word exposed, they hate it. But I'm like, this is what the world I see myself as almost like in the fitness world, I'm almost like the dad of the fitness industry, like I'm the older guy. I will make a fitness video about somebody and say exposed. Let's say it's the Tread Twins. Then I will write them in private and say, look, I'm doing this video about you and you're not going to like it, but you're going to have so many people write you and it's going to propel you and you're going to get way more followers. It's going to make you more famous. They might hear this video and say, Greg's taking credit for us. No, it's not that, but it's certainly helping. Me and you going back and forth with each other with drama is certainly going to help both of us. And so I tell them, look, don't take it personally. This is not about you as a person. This is just about the content. So if somebody says something like Eddie Abu, I don't hate him as a person. I hate the fact that he said this certain thing. I'm criticizing that message, but not him.
Are there any people out there though? So yes, thank you, and I hear that. Are there any people out there that you kind of would like to be friends with, but you've upset?
Yeah. Jeff Nippard. Oh my goodness, he hates my guts. Jeff Nippard and Stephanie Buttermore's finally made a video and said, she understands why I made all those videos. She used to make 10,000 calorie challenges, okay? She would eat 10,000 calories, whether she ate that or not, who knows? But she was a very attractive female bikini competitor and she ended up with, I believe, body dysmorphia. I can't guarantee it, but she went on an all-in journey. And I said, this is not what you do. She gained 50 pounds in a couple of months, eating 5,000 calories a day, whatever. And I made many videos basically saying, don't do what she's doing. And her boyfriend, Jeff, couldn't stand it, hated it. Writes me, how can you do this to me? We're friends, we talk, I like you. I'm just talking about what's happening. And so he hates me. You should see the messages he sent me in private. I said, I'll never share messages, which I promised to him, so I won't do it. Oh my God, this guy hates me so much. And so, yeah, I would love to be friends with Jeff, but because of the videos that I've made and the content I've produced, being honest and having my own integrity, like I think I'm doing the right thing. He would say, no way, you shouldn't be doing this. How can you? I'm just being myself, and this is what I've done, and this is how I've gotten successful, and I can't have regrets on certain videos that I've made because this is what I believe, and whether it's pushing too far, perhaps, maybe, but what else can I do? So absolutely, without question. And would I be more friendly with people if I did that? Yes, but I would be simping not to women, but to friends. And I have other people in the fitness industry that's all they do. In real life, they're horrible people. But on YouTube, they look like angels. Right. They're not at all. I'm like, that person, I can't believe you're like this. And they're like, you should be doing like me. Why aren't you like sucking up to these guys? You'd be way more popular, way more liked. I'm like, because I'm not that. That's not being authentic to myself. And like Jordan Peterson in his I don't know what you call it, his presentation for 2 hours, he just said you can either be honest to yourself, or you can do what's going to make you more ahead in life. And I'm like, I'm going to be honest to myself. So I took that road, and to this extent, look what it's done for me. So I may as well keep going with it. I mean, I couldn't. If I was 100 times less successful than I am right now, I would have still made it. So what's the worst going to happen? I lose my channel. I've still done it. I've changed millions of lives.
Amen. So last question: would you rather have 1 million extra engaged, real social media followers, or 1 million in cash? Which one do you choose and why?
I would choose 100,000 followers as equal to 1 million in cash, because for every 100,000, I would probably 10x what that would be equal to. So it's not even a close call. 1 million engaged followers would be minimum of $10 million I would make from that, minimum. So it's not even a close comparison.
Do you know most people I ask that take the cash?
$1 million,
yeah.
They don't know what they're doing with business then. Yeah. I mean, goodness gracious, if you have 1 million followers, what you can do with that, it's absolutely unbelievable. Yeah.
Is it true at one point you were making like 100 grand a day from online content?
I've made more than 100 grand in a day a few times, but not from content. From sales on like cookbooks, for example.
Your books. But I guess you would have sold them online.
Yes, but not like from ad revenue or something like that. But yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Multiple times, yeah.
So you can do 100,000 a day by selling books. And
I sold 1,004 cookbooks at $99 US each in 24 hours at one point on one video that I promoted making.
Wow.
I had a guy who was the Iron Musket. He had 67 or so followers, and he had bought my book, and he made a video going through my recipes. Never met this guy in my life, and I said, I'm going to make a video about this guy, and I'm being told, why? He's not famous. Do this famous guy. I'm like, yeah, but it's so real. He doesn't have a big following. He's not making this video for clout. And I said, here he is. He made fun of one of my recipes. He called it apple poop instead of apple goop. It's like, it looks gross, but it tastes good. And so he made this video, and I'm like, look at this guy. And he's like, he's just a regular guy. And I posted that video, and every minute it was selling like I drove home, like I watched that, and I was refreshing. I was like, there's no way I've sold this, because I was making maybe like $500,000 a year at this point. And I was like, my life just changed. I remember driving to the gym, like high, like I could barely drive. I didn't know where I was floating. I never had that feeling ever again, even when I made even way more, like selling the next book, like when 2.0 came out, that initial drop. Never have I had that feeling again. I'll never be as high as that moment, a natural high, not drugs. I remember it like yesterday. It was, my life had changed from that day. And I mean, I was selling $25,000 a day for months and months straight after that. I was like, what's happening? I couldn't believe it. Unbelievable experience. I wish everyone could feel that way. I wish everyone could feel 10% of that feeling.
Wow. You can't hear this, but I can. But this gives me a noise every time there's a like or something like that. And when you just shared that and came to life, I was getting all the pings, the likes. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people say don't share. I've been told I'd hired people like never talk about money, never share.
Always talk about money. I'm
the opposite. I just want to be honest. I want to share people. Like I showed people my house and like the McLaren and all the four cars and they're like, don't do that. Everyone hates you now because it's okay for people to be jealous, but then they become envious and they hate you. So a guy like Sam Sulik, he's still driving like a Civic, but he's making like several $1 million a year right now. Like I don't know that, but I do know that. But if he drove a McLaren, I think he would be less liked because people don't like to see that wealth. Most YouTubers who are making millions of dollars don't let anyone see that. And I'm like, hey, this is what you did for me. So rather than, I don't find it bragging, I think it's just being honest. Like, I just want to tell, this is what's happening. I don't want to bullshit you in anything in life. If I'm doing bad, I'll tell you. Right now, people think I'm miserable because I broke up with that ex-girlfriend. You're miserable. You're going through a midlife crisis. I'm like, guys, I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm not lying. And trust me, if I was depressed over it, I would say, hey guys, I'm depressed. Because what I do is I'm honest and I'm relatable, and I think that's what people like. So whatever's going on in my life, well, you see what I talk about. Do I look filtered? I just see whatever's going on.
Yeah, wow. So I have a bit of a car collection as well. I don't normally talk about it either, but every time I meet someone who's into cars, I think we should have a couple of minutes on it just for fun. So do you want to tell me some of your cars?
I have a McLaren 720S and a G-Wagon, which I hate. And I have a Lamborghini Urus and a GT63S. It's like the fastest four-door Mercedes you can get. And I'm trying to sell the G-Wagon. I'm just not a fan. That was something my ex-girlfriend wanted.
And what's wrong with the G-Wagon?
It feels like you're driving a bus.
Right.
I don't like it. You're sitting up. Although it's good if you're trying to, like, if I just sat there and turned a stereo on and want to look like a gangster rapper or something, that feels kind of cool. But like driving it, nah.
Yeah.
I don't like it. And actually, the Mercedes inside and the feel of it is the best. And McLaren feels like you're driving a go-kart.
Yeah.
But it's always something I kind of wanted, but never thought I could ever afford it.
But what, like, my business partner and I, we have a few nice cars, and we've never gone for McLarens.
No.
No.
Why not?
I haven't driven the 720S,
Yeah.
and I'm told that's next level, so I haven't driven it. But when they came out, we drove a couple of them, and they felt lifeless. There wasn't so I have an Aventador, and that sounds unreal. And you know, I had never had the same sound experience with the McLaren. Interior's quite bland. And also, I'm told that the service and owning one is terrible.
Oh, it's hard. I have to fly. I drove to Montreal, I took a flight to Montreal and bought it without driving it. And people are, you're selling supplements because you need the payments to, I'm like, if I can't buy a car like that in cash on the spot, you should never be buying these things. They depreciate in value. It would be a stupid decision. I'm very good with my money and I don't spend much of it. I'm I was always told I was frugal, and so you don't buy it. But I have to ship this vehicle over every single year to Montreal. It's $7,000 or $8,000 just to ship it, and it's gone for a week or two every year just to do service on it. No one can do service on this vehicle.
And are they like heavy with the builds? Every time I put the Lamborghini in, they want 25 grand off you. Oh, it needs a new gearbox, which it doesn't.
I haven't brought. it's my first year driving, so I don't know what's going to happen once you do it. So
I mean, because I'm sort of asking quite selfishly, because I mean, I think some of the newer McLarens look beautiful, and people are saying to me, these are next level performance. Andrew Tate just got one, and he's like, that is the performance car. And he's telling me to get one, and I'm like, well, yeah, but.
That was the car I wanted. Everyone says, you know, Lamborghini. I wanted the McLaren. I mean, before any of these, I never thought I could ever afford one. So when I got the Mercedes, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I have this car. I was 3 years I was looking at it. And then I was like, wait, I can afford it now, no problem. I didn't buy anything until I was more than financially secure enough so that if it got totaled, no big deal. Like, you know, I was very safe with my money. So, but I have all the cars I need. I thought about, like, should I get a Bugatti or whatever? And I'm like, in Halifax with those roads, it'd be just stupid. But I'm like, maybe what's next? But then you're chasing the dopamine of buying that extra expensive gift that I don't need. And I'm not, I don't know, materialistic. Even though it seems it, I have all these cars, but I don't care. I like my bicycle. Like, I would trade my McLaren in for my bicycle because I like my bike. Like, I need to be fit. Like, if it was a choice, like today, $1 million or stop bike riding, it's the $1 million is so gone so quick. It's not even a question. There's no, I can't imagine not bike riding. Like, if it was 5 million, it's done, gone, buy money. I don't need it, but I need to bike ride.
Yeah. So where can we follow you? I mean, many people will know who you are. Obviously, you're huge in your world, but where can we follow you, and where are you doing most of your content nowadays?
YouTube is my main form of revenue. That's what I post my long form content. So just Greg Doucette there. Instagram, Greg Doucette IFBB Pro. I'm getting 60 million views a month on Instagram and maybe 10 to 20 million on YouTube. But that's my two avenues. If you speak Mandarin, I have Billy, and that I have almost 500,000 followers there. I also have Snapchat, which is actually making quite a bit of money. I have a Snapchat channel. I don't know how to even do that. A team that takes my videos and they shorten them up and put words on it, and then I get a check. And I'm like, well, that's cool. I don't even know how to go on Snapchat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's another thing. I'm so bad with technology. People who follow me know this. I'm this old guy that doesn't know how to turn on a computer. But yeah, those are my main things.
And that's Gregdoucette.
Correct, Greg Doucette.
Yeah.
Some people say Doucette, douche, Doucette. I've heard everything in the book.
And then your cookbook?
Cookbook, that and my Harder Than Last Time supplement line, as well as my clothing line, all that can be gotten on my website. What is my website even? Greg Doucette, HTLT supplements.
Yeah.
But if you just type Greg Doucette, it'll get there somewhere. Like, I don't even know how to go on my own supplement site. Like, I don't know. I just save my editors. I got a team of people that help me do all this stuff. So, yeah.
This has been a real pleasure. I just want to give everyone a quick pan who's watching on the live. Greg, thank you very much.
Yes, pleasure to be interviewed.
you.
A great interview. It was
Thank you.
amazing. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're really good at interviewing. Very
thank you.
impressed. Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, because you have to listen and see what I'm saying and feed onto that.
Yeah.
And you're not scared to go into more controversial topics and to let me talk. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, probably I would say the best interview I've ever had ever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
You've done it a lot.
Yeah,
so,
I do work at it a lot.
Yeah, clearly.
And I really enjoy it.
It takes a certain skill set too. I've interviewed a lot of people. I wouldn't be able to do like where you're at. I stumble too much, and I do my best, but
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you saying that. That makes the 1,000 episodes worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a speaker many years before I was an interviewer, and that almost makes it harder because my job is not to speak.
Yeah.
My job is to try and get
That's what I
everything
had.
out of you. Yeah.
When I'm interviewing people, I always wanted to talk. I have to sit there and listen and let them talk because I'm a talker. Like even when I'm dating, like, listen to this one. Our first date, she's like, I don't know if I can handle this guy. He just keeps talking.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like it's hard. So yeah.
Well, that means a lot that you said that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, and I definitely learned a bit from you about the content. We've got 311,000 on YouTube. It's all part-time for me because I've got all my other businesses. Because we'll probably do 2 a week on YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, so definitely I'm going to study you more and learn more from.
I was able to leverage what I really enjoy and do it quickly, like reactional videos. So I used to have to research a topic. I would spend 5 days reading, articles on a certain thing, like let's call it a steroid or a method of losing weight, and become an expert. And I do the video and like 60,000 views. Or I put on The Rock working out and I get 5 million views. Why The Rock doesn't have a six-pack? And I'm just sitting there and like this, no work. I just come in and way more views than a planned out, researched article with everything planned out. I'm like, I put 5 days of work into one video and I got more views by reacting to somebody. I'll see somebody say one sentence, like a TikTok video, and I'll talk for 20 minutes about one sentence, and I just ramble and people love it. That's it. So that's how I can do 27 videos in a week. I just react to other people.
Right.
I react to you reacting to me reacting to you reacting. Like you could post this and I could make a video. I'm gonna comment on that Greg guy. I literally have done that. I've done videos about me. I'll say, what an idiot that Greg Doucette. He thought this. I've done a natty or not on myself. Look at this body. You think you achieve that natural? I'm like just sarcastically looking at myself. I'm obviously know if I'm natural or not.
Yeah.
And people love it. So just reacting is so easy and I love it. Like Eddie Abu, anything he says.
Yeah.
You'll have to look into this guy. He's got over 3 million followers. He's gone from
I think I know who he is.
to 3 in the last 4 months.
I'm pretty sure I know
Shocking.
who he is. Wow.
Yeah, and he's 60. But wake the fuck up. And it's great. It's brilliant. So I have to be like, I don't like this guy, but it's like, I don't not like, he does exactly what I do. I was weird voice and I'm just standing out.
Yeah.
But I love to make videos about him because it's like so many people are listening to him now.
And do you just know what you're going to react to, just completely go natural and just rant, and then have someone edit it up, or are you a bit more planned in the edit? No.
Sometimes I watch the video first, and sometimes I don't even watch it. I on the fly will watch it. We haven't even watched it.
Yeah.
Whatever comes up, oh my goodness, you said that? And then like just as it's going, like the viewer would do for the first time. Sometimes I'll watch the video and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna react to this now. But I've never planned out like an event, like a certain structure.
Yeah.
So I'll talk for like, usually 40 minutes will be 8 to 12 at the end. So
Right. Really?
Yeah.
So you've got someone who knows what they're doing, editing it out, making
4
it
editors
tight.
full time. Yeah, 4
Yeah.
full-time editors. So I'll press pause and then I'll talk. And sometimes I'll say a sentence 5 times over, and I'll be like, I need a funny analogy, and I'll just sit there and be like, what can I say? I'll say it and I'll pronounce the word not strong enough on a certain syllable, or I'll say it in 3 different voices and be like, which one sounded the best? But it's just on the go, and I don't have any planned agenda.
That's so good, because it doesn't stop the creative process. Whereas if you're like, we've got to do this and this and this and this, all of a sudden the creativity's gone, and then
Yeah. I'm way better at winging it. Like, I
Yeah.
can't memorize anything. I have a whole memory. So if I'm trying to advertise a supplement, they had, just say this line. No. Let's just roll. I'll just say something and we'll see if it's good.
Yeah.
I'm way better at that. I don't have a good memory. Never did. That's what's holding me back.
Yeah.
I always tell people I'm a genius with a learning disability. Like, literally, my twin brother is a genius, and he's a fraternal, but he teaches chemistry at Dow. He's just super smart. Super smart. I don't have that photographic memory. That's what held me back, was like the memorization, but I still can analyze and make, I don't know. I can look at a situation and make sense of it.
Yeah.
I think dumbing down things is what I'm really good at.
Yeah, which is a skill that's really needed
I
nowadays.
think being a teacher helped me to do that.
Yes. Yeah, because I ask a lot of questions. I know the answer, but I make out that I don't.
Yeah.
Because I want to not assume that people know.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe Rogan's good at that, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Be happy to be the dumb guy.
Yeah, just listen and let the person talk. You might know more than them about it, but the point is to hear that person say it.
Yeah. Great. Well, this has been great.
Yeah,
Thank
it was
you, Greg.
amazing.
So we covered a lot of stuff. I thought that Greg was very open, probably more open than many other fitness influencers you might have watched. So let me know in the comments, what do you agree with Greg? What do you disagree with Greg? I want to know.